this might be low-key a hot take. I think baseball has a better product than the NBA at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Michael Porter Jr. highlight I see, I say I say Dunleavy get on the phone, make the call, and I'll at the Warriors. So I'll continue to do that until they make a trade.
Piss poor season for us. We should have done a lot better. This last game, the way we were playing just to stay alive in the playoffs, it shouldn't have been that way. We should have been resting starters and already just claimed the division.
So I guess this is my time to take away my do a full apology to T Law because if anybody's saw the clip this past week, he was given grills to match the meme that's going around. Full apology, swag galore, good vibes. He just needed a better coach in GM. Welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of Banter on the Rocks. Today is Monday, January 5th. Happy New Year to all. And if you're new here, welcome to the show. And if you've been with us week after week, thank you for your continued support. Make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss a weekly drop. And on today's episode, we're going to be diving into our latest banter takes, recap of week 18 in the NFL, and look into wild card weekend, the a little bit of an NBA overview, and the Critics' Choice Awards, and look forward to Golden Globes. And as always, we're bringing you the real talk, honest reactions, and plenty of banter along the way. And all right, let's get into it. As we do every single week, we will be kicking off things with our banter drinks of the week, what we're sipping on, why we chose it, and what is fueling us for today's show. And today, I tried a different IPA from the local Total Wine Selection, going with Epig, EPPIG Brewing. It's Eagle Rider. It's a double IPA. Oof.
Okay.
All right. Hey, go big or go home. And I believe it's San Diego for this guy. As I was
Okay.
in there, I was chat GBTing some. Yeah, it is San Diego. I was chat GBTing. I guess just some good brews. Came across this
Yeah.
brand. Asked the question. I guess their brewery in San Diego is a really nice setting as well.
Okay.
People that have visited said it's really nice. So, it's
Nice.
good stuff. A couple sips I've had. It's nice.
Good. Awesome. I am sticking with my tequila and this week just doing some OJ. So getting into that
Ooh,
like screwdriver, but with tequila. Something simple, not too extravagant.
very
But
nice.
yeah, just keeping it the same. I don't think I've changed much. So I think I got to start looking into different drinks or trying something else. But
It's the winter. It's a
yeah,
bland time of year for drinks in a way,
it is. It
Summer
is.
brings out the heat,
Yeah.
brings a little bit more flavor sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and the rain is just like I didn't want to get out of the house during this past week. Just wanted to stay home, a homebody, so sticking to
Yep.
what I have. But yeah, that's our drinks of the week, and we'll just get into our banter takes. These are the hottest takes from us this week. These takes are the ones we share with each other. We don't prep each other for them. We don't compare notes, and we definitely don't pull the punches. We're gonna defend them, discuss them equally. Everything you're about to hear is fresh off our head, real time reactions only. So we'll get into it. And Tim sent me my first take, and Netflix said, "Blink and you'll miss it. Movies for 17 days in theaters is wild." Yeah, I had this on my list as well as a possible take for you because
Ah, nice.
Netflix is really going to be changing. They can make a big impact in the movie industry with this take,
Mhm.
and if they really do hold up to movies just 17 days in the theater, it's going to be wild because it could honestly kill the movie industry because Netflix. who are they trying to buy? Is it
Warner Bros.
Warner Brothers? So Warner Brothers already makes quite a few movies, so and if they buy Warner Brothers, they're gonna get into this some sort of monopoly of all these movie companies because they'll start having the funds that they'll start buying whatever movie companies are willing to sell and that are struggling, some of these smaller movie companies that make amazing movies and just like I say, not put them in theaters for so long. You could look at it both ways. There are pros to it, there are cons to it. For me, I see it as a con because I enjoy going to the movies. I enjoy going to that movie theater experience. One of the most recent ones, I think that Netflix did pretty well, which I thought was awesome. The Stranger Things finale. Saw that in theaters, on what was it, Wednesday. Great experience, and that's why we go to the movies for those type of experiences for movies. Um, and only having 17 days before they probably put it on in streaming is just insane. Where normally you have to wait 2 to 3 months when a movie releases to come out into a theater. So, like I say, you're not gonna miss the movie at all because, like I say, eventually it's gonna come out. You'll probably see it a lot sooner than you normally would on demand, on streaming, wherever it is. But having that movie theater experience is gonna probably kill some of these movie theaters, and I think we're gonna start seeing less and less of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel like movie theaters, ever since COVID happened, are just that entity that has like two black eyes and just totally beaten up, shirt
Hmm.
ripped, and they're still like hobbling through it all. And I
Hmm.
feel like they've had rebound after rebound. Theaters, I feel like, especially, this past week for us Californians, pretty much everywhere is getting hammered by rain.
Hmm.
And New Year's traditionally is always packed, and this
Yeah.
year was just like every other year. It was packed. Drove by a couple different theaters, and they were just loaded to the brim with
Hmm.
cars. So that was really cool to see. I remember that, having worked at a movie theater way back when, and New Year's always seemed busier than even like Christmas or Thanksgiving was. And
Yeah.
it's definitely a busy time of year. But I feel like this is kind of that next like little gut punch,
Hmm.
with where Netflix is going with the purchase of Warner Bros. And of course, it's to get movies faster onto their streaming platform
Hmm.
and, have that experience there for, all the monthly subscribers. But, I just, there I kind of see both sides. I don't
Hmm.
go to the theaters as often. I wish I did because I do enjoy the movie theater
Hmm.
experience. Just with the young kiddos, it's tough to get out sometimes. But if we do go, it's always a pretty enjoyable experience in my opinion. Like,
Hmm.
it's you get your popcorn, your kids are happy, you get candy. We all sit down, enjoy whatever movie we're going to go see because it's all something that we're
Yeah.
excited to go watch and take the time to go do it. But that extra window, like from what I researched, movies are typically there for at least 4 weeks in a
Hmm.
theater. And then, sometimes up to 6 to 8 weeks I've
Yeah.
seen. And that extra time can help a lot of people, whether it's, crazy schedule, you're out of town, you don't have time, it
Hmm.
gives you that window. Or if you quite frankly just don't want care to go to like a packed theater and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll watch it in a couple weeks when, the audience dies down a bit.
Hmm.
That's very common to do as well. But it's just one of those things where that seems a little bit better to have it
Hmm.
go a little bit longer. The other side of it is, if I can't make it to a theater very often,
Yeah.
17 days is a quick turnaround time to expect it on streaming, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, it's however you view it. If you're a frequent moviegoer and
Hmm.
you like to hit up the theater, it's quite frankly, it's kind of a bummer that it's not quite enough time. But this is where we're going. If we're gonna see more platforms begin to buy out,
Hmm.
certain movie rights, we're gonna see it all too often. I don't know. I guess we'll see how movie theater companies decide to combat that.
Yeah, we'll see how they combat it because it's gonna be a tough one, and if it actually goes into effect, like I say, it's only Netflix right now. All the other big movie, studios are gonna continue doing what they normally do, but if this trend of what Netflix does is successful and it's sort of bringing a profit to their pockets, because that's what this all is, I think, for Netflix, is doing that for 17 days. Because I think the 17 days also makes all those movies Oscar, Golden Globe eligible, you know? So, they
Hmm.
have to have it in theaters for a bit for it to be eligible for, award season that we're currently in. So we'll see how that type of effect does it. But like you mentioned, and I see it the same both ways. I see it good, I see it bad. Good because yeah, if I can't make it to the theater, it's a movie I want to see, but I just don't have the time with the kiddo now. Like it'd be cool to see it, but I also see it the other way where the experience seeing it in a movie theater, some films are just so much greater, Avengers Endgame. Seeing that in theaters, you can't compare it to anything else. No matter how many times you see it at your home, it doesn't meet that same experience that you did in the movie theater, and the only way you could experience it is if you pretty much have a movie theater in your home, which it's probably only 0.1% of the population that could probably afford to do that in their home, have a full on movie theater. You have to be like one of these, Michael Bay, have a movie theater in your house type thing. So we'll see where it goes, but it's just it's not surprising, but it's unfortunate, for the movie theaters. Like I say, well, I think if they're successful, Netflix does this, they're successful, they're making money, and all these other studios see it, they're gonna try to go in the same route because, like, in the end, they're about making money. They're about making great movies, but the bottom line is what they get into their pockets.
Absolutely. Yeah, and people are kind of bringing up some other films that are due to come out by Warner Bros. I guess, Minecraft, Godzilla, Kong, Supernova,
Hmm.
Man of Tomorrow. People are saying that this is gonna kind of cook them, I guess, based off of,
Hmm.
their theatrical release and only having 70 days in theaters. How is this gonna, affect ratings,
Hmm.
considerations for awards, like you've already mentioned? All of that has to really be brought into mind.
Hmm.
So that's another thing to think about. Other people, you brought it up too, like the theatrical experience for certain movies is second to none unless you have bonkers money and
Hmm.
just have a casual movie theater in your house like you said.
Right.
That's killer. It doesn't really matter to you, but like, people who go there and seek that audience reaction to certain things, it's like, you're not you can have that in your house,
Mm.
sure, but it's like you're not feeding off of other people's energy necessarily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of a letdown. Yeah, it's in, and I'm curious because, like Disney, for example, I think that they've been a pretty big advocate of theater releases, keeping their movies in
Hmm.
theaters, things like that. I guess they'll kind of go head to head, I guess, with Warner Bros. And Netflix, and the rivalry kind of gets stronger, right?
Yeah, I think it will. Disney during COVID, they sort of did go this route because of the movie theater shutdown. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
I think it was Black Widow, pretty much in the
Yeah.
theater for like a week and then released straight to streaming. A
I
lot
think
of
Mulan as well, right? Live action
Mulan,
Mulan.
Mulan as well. And they did it because of COVID. It was very limited seats that you could get at the theaters. There had to be spaces in between your party, so it sort of cut down that movie theater experience. But I think for them there was a lot of backlash from the stars because, like I say, it doesn't just affect you know the movie theater, it affects the movie stars because sometimes they make money based off how it performs in the box office. So now they're gonna have to start working on their contracts and figuring out, okay, if you're only releasing it 14 days, my expectations can't be the same as before because the movie's not out in theaters for 2 months. It's only out for 2 weeks. I'm losing
Yep.
6 weeks of possible, net profit, based off how it does. So We'll see, but yeah,
Yeah.
unless you have the Uber money to buy a movie theater and just experience it on your own and just play movies, it's hard because like even like Oppenheimer, Inception, great movies to watch at home with a great sound system. Even, if you have an 80-inch TV, it's still amazing. But compared to the big screen with others that are so passionate about the movie and just that sound system, which is, high class for compared to home sound systems, it's just a whole different experience. So, like I say, you'll never be able to get that
Mhm.
experience in your home compared to theaters.
For sure. Yeah. And then I guess a couple other things kind of come to mind for me too is do you think this will be kind of like two questions for you, John,
Hmm.
since you're our movie mastermind here on the pod, as I always say. Do you think we'll see a lot more movie re-releases into theaters, kind of like re-screenings,
I
if this is comes to fruition?
I think so. I think it'll happen a lot more, especially like during anniversaries, like a 5-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary. We'll see it
Hmm.
more, Christopher Nolan, maybe every time one of his movie comes out, he'll play one of his old classic, hit movies that are great in theaters once a week. One week it's gonna be like Inception, the next week Oppenheimer, then the Dark Knight
Hmm.
trilogy, just to sort of bring it back and get them ready for, the Odyssey next. I could see it a lot more, because like I say, they're gonna have to find specific ways, and I think one thing movie theaters may do to sort of be able to make some of the money back if this does take in full effect for multiple movie studios is bringing like live events back to movie theaters. I don't know. Yeah, I think when you were working at a movie co, um,
Hmm.
they were having like UFC fights, boxing events, at the movie theater, showing
Yeah,
it on the big screen. So I think that sort of stopped. I think it sort of brings a Cosm type look to the movie theaters, where you could go watch a live event, have the snacks, have the seat, and have it on the big screen with other people enjoying the game. It might be one of the routes they have to take if this is going to take into effect and it's going to affect their bottom line.
for sure. Yeah, no, the tap out shirts were on full effect during that time of,
Yeah.
all the UFC fights.
Yeah.
That was the heyday like 15 years ago, with everybody
Yeah.
wearing a damn tap out shirt. But yeah, no, those were good times. I remember they also had movie trivia nights,
Hmm.
during the week, and that was actually really popular as well. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like a screening thing, but at least people got them into a theater,
Hmm.
because the particular theater we're discussing is, I believe it's now an AMC,
Yeah.
but it also has a restaurant attached to it, so that was pretty cool. I don't know if that restaurant is even still operable. I haven't been
I,
in there
I
in
don't I don't think
ages,
it
but
is.
yeah, no, I doubt
No.
it. No, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But that was always pretty cool. But little things like that, I guess, kind of got people through the door. Um, and then another thing was, and I don't know like the total background to a lot of this, whether there's contracts, things like that. But do you think Warner Bros. Could take a big hit with this, like, or I guess Netflix now could take a big hit with this, and maybe movie theaters won't carry Warner Bros. Films because of a shortened deadline, like a date?
Possibly. I don't know the logistics of if a theater can refuse to play a movie. Um,
Okay.
it will all just sort of depend. Like I say, if all movie theaters sort of get together and they'll be like, we're not playing Netflix or Warner Brother movies because of this, they're gonna have to change their mind because, like I say, going straight to streaming, they'll still make money, but they're losing a lot of that prestige. And then I think where it sort of hits the most is gonna be directors, producers, these filmmakers not even though Warner Brothers Netflix is willing to give them $10 million to make a movie, they're not going to go there because they know this movie that could be a great award season movie isn't going to go in theaters and isn't going to qualify for award season. They're going to be like, no, I'm going to take 7 million from, Universal because I know at least I'll be in the theaters and I have a chance to make it to award season and I'll deal with the 7 million.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, I could definitely see that happening just to be up
Mhm.
for the awards. Yeah, no, I guess we'll see where
Mm.
that goes, but definitely thought-provoking,
Yeah.
pretty big news. There's been a lot of I'd say more like negative reaction to something like this. Like it's
Hmm.
definitely gonna hurt because people do genuinely still really enjoy the theater experience.
Yeah.
That's why I think it was super popular for people to go watch, the finale of Stranger Things in
Hmm.
theaters. I heard it was a ton of fun. Haven't finished it all. Shame on me. I've
I
been
know.
watching it in bits and pieces. I'm still hanging on to like 50 minutes. But no, it's great. It's been great in my
Yeah.
own theatrical mind.
Yeah, no, like I say, if you look at reactions of how Stranger Things did in the theater, it's a good way for some of these TV shows maybe to do their series finale, on the big screen because, like I say, it was a big hit, I think. Um, the reactions, it's all those people invested in the show, and when something happens, how dedicated people were. It it's funny, but at the same time, it's amazing because, like I say, with Stranger Things, I was there. Some of the scenes at the beginning, when something happened, everybody in the movie theater was like on their edge. You could see them moving, you could see them yelling characters'
Damn.
names, pissed off, whatever it was. And it sort of, like I say, it brings me back the last time I really felt something like that in a movie, or one of the last two. One was during Weapons, when I saw Weapons at the end scene
Okay.
when they were chasing
Yep.
the ant and the kids finally got her.
Oh,
Everybody was
yeah.
cheering, and it was just funny because, like I said, that's the type of experience you go to movies for some of these.
Yeah.
But the last big one, Avengers Endgame, when Captain America, gets the hammer, you know, the Falcon calls out, on your left, and all the characters come out, like how that reaction of all theaters were happening. Even if you went 2 weeks later, the reaction was still the same. How excited people were.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what that movie theater experience brings. It brings that same experience at home, but not at quite as much.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, those were I agree. Really good reactions.
Mhm.
With Avengers, but Weapons, I can definitely see why also. That was hell of an ending.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing, my final thing on this is, I always enjoyed like when I was working at the theater watching like I think there was one Star Wars release when I was working there, as well as Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, if I remember
Hmm.
right, and just everybody dressed like they were in the movie.
Hmm.
And it was just like, even looking back, you can look back at like old clips of Star Wars
Yeah.
episode one, people like having lightsaber battles.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's
Uh,
people got
yeah.
really into it. And that's just the theater experience though. And
Hmm.
I think that's what I think a lot of people, even if you don't participate, to that extent, I just think
Yeah.
witnessing it and being around it is fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's what's so great about that as well as the theater experience because yeah, there's a lot of people that cosplay, a lot of people that dress up, but even just wearing a shirt, that's usually what I do. I just wear a t-shirt. I have a lot of these movie
Mhm.
t-shirts, game t-shirts, so I wear them when I go. Um, but yeah, it's cool because like I say, with Stranger Things, everybody either had like a Hawkins, the green Hawkins, like high school jersey, the
Hmm.
the the Hellfire Club
WSK.
t-shirt, the
Uh-huh.
the Squawk shirt, people dressed up as 11, all these things. So I was like, it makes it fun because, like I say, it's people that really appreciate the movie and aren't gonna react really positive to it because there's been a few movies I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, and it was funny because, like I say, I react to it very minimally just because it's just the way I am. But Vera gets very emotional into it, and there was one movie that you know how sometimes at the end of a movie when it's a really good movie that everybody likes, people clap like cheering for it.
Oh yeah.
I
Hmm.
forget what movie it was, but nobody clapped, and Vera was a little disappointed. She's like, "That's not the movie experience I wanted." And it's like, sometimes that happens. The people that are in there aren't as committed or as invested into that movie as others are. So finding that group
Yeah.
of people that are invested, I think this will sort of help weed out those people that are really invested in movies and those that just go for the clout, for the hype, just to sort of do their movie reviews and get paid for it and not really care about the movie.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's like bandwagon fans at sporting events,
Hmm.
it's there for the experience, but not really invested in the team.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
So
we all get that, you know?
yeah. Yeah, but we'll see. But yeah, Netflix, I thought it was crazy that they're going this route, and we'll see if they officially go this route when their first movie comes out this new year. And we'll see if it changes anything in the industry. But I think it'll take a few years for it to change after seeing what the return of investment is for them.
For sure. No, agreed. Yeah, we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll sort of stay in movies with the take I'm going to send you.
Love it. All right. Hollywood isn't casting anymore. They're recycling. Same prestige actors, different movies. It's safe, it's boring, and it's killing excitement discovering the excitement of discovering new stars. Yes, this is incredibly valid, and it can be used for, a number of actors. It could be used for um, the new Marvel Doomsday movie,
Hmm.
recycling, I guess, Robert Downey Jr. as, the villain. But,
Hmm.
I guess there might be some setup to something like that. But I don't
Hmm.
know. I've heard some back and forth regarding that,
Hmm.
reusing him for that role. Um, and it can be said about, you name it, a zillion other actors. And
Hmm.
it is a bummer. And I think that's why, like, you and I also enjoy like horror films. We've talked about it, where it's always a fresh face,
Hmm.
in horror films. And then it could be a big break for them. It could be the start of, other movies in a series for them.
Yeah.
But, I think you're not really expecting anything. That's why I think we're somewhat hopeful, but somewhat like, there's a certain level of optimism with
Hmm.
Scarlett Johansson. We keep referring, well, maybe I keep referring back to this, um, the exorcism, because horror films have built a precedent off of new faces, like I just mentioned. And if she's joining this, it's like, what kind of reaction are we going to get? Are we going to get like her
Hmm.
typical role? Are we going to actually kind of see like a different side to Scarlett Johansson, that like, wow, like this was her calling, she
Hmm.
missed out on a number of years, hopefully she continues on with this, hopefully that's the route it goes. But it's whatever. I feel like people, I guess producers, directors, think that, getting just the biggest names consistently over and over again is what's going to draw people to go watch the film. And
Hmm.
I think we're reaching a point where it's like, oh, it's like not everybody wants to go see every single Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah.
There's more than you can even probably name. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, but yeah, it's just, we like new faces. I think that's why Stranger Things was so great.
Hmm.
It was besides like, Winona Ryder, of course, but like, a lot of the kid actors that have grown into these roles and are, expanding on their careers,
Hmm.
we hadn't seen them before. And then you
Yeah.
kind of follow them along and season by season, and it's been, a journey. So that's really cool. But yeah, just the recycling of it, it's bland. A lot of people talk about the idea of Hollywood's running out of ideas, for
Hmm.
films altogether. I think that this perfectly coincides with it. You're running
Hmm.
out of, wanting to take on it, new actors in certain roles. And quite frankly, it seems kind of lazy. You're getting a bunch of money for it, and you're
Yeah.
taking the laziness of, oh, let's just call Will Smith up, again to do,
Hmm.
his fifth I Am Legend type role.
Yeah.
Get him to do something like this. Yeah, it's getting really bland.
Yeah.
And it's killing things. They need to rejuvenate. If they rejuvenate even the same idea but new actors, it could feel like a totally different movie.
Yeah, no, I see why they probably go this route at times because, these actors have such a big, and I'm going to say a cult following because there's so many people dedicated to these actors that anytime any of their products, anything comes out that's related to them, they go out in flocks to watch it. And they're like, okay, that's money in our pocket. But, it just starts getting so boring. Like I say, The one person, and like I say, I'm not trying to put him down at all, but like Pedro Pascal, he's one that comes into
Mm,
mind because he has literally been in everything in the last 3 years, I feel like. And he does it because hey, he's getting these offers, he's getting paid, might as well take the things. But there are a few that after a while, you're just like, man, you just need to take a break, give someone else a chance, because it's like I feel like I've seen you in every single thing every year, and I don't get a break from you. I think one of the last ones, The Materialist. I think a lot of people want to go watch that movie because he was in it, Chris Evans was in it, two big stars, but it really flopped. Fantastic
hmm
Four, his Fantastic Four didn't do as well as people expected, but they probably expected it. Oh, it's going to be one of the best, Marvel movies to come up again because it's Pedro Pascal. Everybody's going to watch it, but not many people really did. I think he has success with some things. The Mandalorian, that's him because he started that before his big, rise in fame. Um,
Yep.
But like I say, and then like the other thing, I saw when Weapons was coming out, he was supposed to be the main character. He was supposed to be Josh Brolin's character in Weapons. Um,
Wow.
and when I heard that, I was like, okay, it could have been cool. It was a whole different girl as well, different actors. But once Pedro Pascal dropped out, they had to change it all. But I was like, I don't know how I would have felt if it was Pedro Pascal doing that role. I think he could. I think he would have done amazing. I'm not gonna say he wouldn't have, but like I say, I just had seen him in so much that I was just getting so burnt out. And I think another name right now that you could sort of see doing that, and honestly hasn't made as great of movies as probably Pedro Pascal, Sydney Sweeney. She's pretty much in everything
Okay.
the last few years.
hmm
The Housemaid is her most recent movie. People have said good things, good, bad things about it, but like Christie, her boxing movie, barely any promotion, did really bad from what I've heard. Um, Madam Web didn't do too well. Anything But You, I think, was probably her best one, and it was a comedy too. So, like I
hmm
say, they're using that name because Sydney Sweeney's in the news everywhere. Everybody wants to go watch her. Um, and because of Euphoria. So it's just I think they need to get creative because it's just getting boring, it's getting bland, it's not discovering new actors and the next up and comers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I guess it's the easy way to get more people in the door for certain things.
Hmm.
And maybe that's the issue is, it kind of all recirculates back to the lack of like new ideas, fresh ideas for
Hmm.
movies. And it's like, okay, well, we're thinking of a rom-com, so let's think of the two like,
Hmm.
biggest most attractive men in
Yeah.
the movie industry. Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, perfect. Throw them in a
Uh,
rom-com, let's see, they'll each
uh,
have their roles. One guy's,
mm,
rich, the other guy's, not, but is a kinder, blah blah blah. It's an easy way out versus, taking a risk.
mhm,
In another thing is like if they have a fresh, I guess, idea, I guess going for the bigger name can make a lot of sense, but also it could be the perfect leeway of like, hey, I have a fresh idea, but this actor has had small roles. Nobody
mhm,
really knows him yet or her yet. This is going to be their first, main character role. They're going to be perfect for it. And then boom, their career takes off. But we just don't
mhm,
see that. I feel like nearly as much as we used to.
mhm,
And, it's just kind of like, the barrel's dry. Um, yeah. And then we've also talked topics like, they turn to chat or to like AI for a
mhm,
lot of recommendations on topics. And it's like, okay, well, you're still making, I guess, the same amount of money, but it's not even your idea.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, and it's just kind of it's kind of just again lazy, the easy way out. And I wish that they would kind of consider, I guess, trying out, a lot of new faces. There now, I will say on the other hand, I guess when you get into a certain genre, for example, Will Ferrell.
Hmm.
You have a comedy, it's going to be like, really cheesy comedy.
Yeah.
It's like some goofball dad, yada yada yada. Like, okay,
Hmm.
perfect. I'm thinking uh Will Ferrell and I don't know, Adam Sandler,
Yeah.
and then you can run with it. It's an easy way out with that too. Um, but yeah, and I don't know, do you think some of this might coincide with, I don't know, maybe a lack of good talent going in and out of SNL? Because there's been a lot of talk of negativity with, like a platform like SNL.
I think it could be. I think it's just not giving people the chance, because like I say, it's just sort of looking for those big name actors because it's what you've always looked for and those award-winning actors. But like I say, a lot of the great award-winning actors are also no-name actors that are part of these smaller movies that aren't big billion-dollar productions. And SNL has, I still enjoy it, but some of the talent coming through it isn't at par of what it used to be, even in the comedy scene. Because, like I say, I would say
Hmm.
after Andy Samberg, other than Colin Joyce, the Weekend Update, and then Bowen Yang, and now what's his name? The 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 one Hispanic dude. Why am I blanking on his name? Marcelo Hernandez. Like
Yeah, there you go.
many of them have been successful in that SNL type realm, but haven't been able to get to that next level of Will Ferrell, Chris Farley, um, even Andy Samberg with what is it, Brooklyn 911, some TV shows, being a big name
Hmm.
star, they've sort of dwindled down after their run on SNL.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, kind of digging, into an even deeper topic in a way here is, I guess, children's channels have changed so incredibly drastically, if that's even a great way to put that, John. Cable just obviously isn't the same as when you and I were growing up. We had
Yeah.
shows that we would probably consistently watch on
Hmm.
Nickelodeon, Disney, Cartoon Network, some live action, some cartoons, but the live action ones in particular,
Yeah.
we can zoom in on like, Drake and Josh
Hmm.
on Nickelodeon, or you go to, you name it, Hannah Montana on Disney Channel. Not saying I watched that or anything, but
Yeah.
she became really,
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus became a big deal after that. There's plenty of like, the Jonas Brothers had a little
Hmm.
bit on Disney Channel, Demi Lovato, you name it. Like
Hmm.
there's been people who have built careers off of both of those networks, and they were all, younger and were able to kind of build up their career starting with something like that and becoming even more. Jake Paul even had a role on, what
Hmm.
was it, Nickelodeon or Disney Channel back in the day,
I think it was Disney
and
Channel.
it just Disney Channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and they just kind of expand on it, and that was the perfect leeway into creating a career out of it.
Hmm.
Nowadays we just don't really see that. I feel like, the child actors, have smaller roles in a film and then kind of grow a little bit more. Sometimes there's TV sitcoms,
Hmm.
might see them on Netflix, but just the cable element that are strictly like kids related shows. I don't know. Maybe we don't see it as much.
Yeah, I don't think we see it
What
as
do you think?
much. And I think there's multiple reasons to it. I think one is just how this new generation watches TV. I don't think we've talked about it. I don't think they watch TV as much anymore. I think it's all about social medias and clips, 60-second clips. So I think they're trying to
Hmm.
focus on other things. And I also think that they try to bring out these child stars, but they're not able to hook them to their platform for as long as they probably used to in the past, like Drake and Josh playing multiple years, Miranda Crossgrove, doing multiple years. Because like one that I think
Yep.
about it is Girl Meets World, the Boy Meets World spin-off, when
Oh
they're
yeah,
adults, they have their
sure.
kids. Sabrina Carpenter was part of that, but then she went to
Oh,
do her stuff. And now look at her. She's never going to probably go
Uh,
back to Disney or do something like that because she has her audience and she has this new career, for herself as a big music artist. Same thing with Olivia Rodrigo. She was in that High School Musical TV
hmm
show. I think she did 1 or 2 seasons, and
Yep.
after that, her music career blew up, and she's never back. That show probably hasn't been the same without her. So it's like I think they still make some of the stars, but I don't think they last as long as they probably did before. And I think that's because a lot of these parents are a lot smarter and not hooking their children into these contracts for so long and committing them for so long. And also after seeing all the like Nickelodeon debacle of how things were back in the day with not Amanda Seyfried, Amanda Bynes, all that
How's
drama.
Amanda Bynes? Yep.
Yeah, so it's sort of like I think they're taking a different route because these parents have to protect their children and also looking at what's best for their careers. And it isn't being on Nickelodeon or Disney for 10 plus years. It's getting your name out there, getting popular, and then going to the next big thing. So I think
Yep.
they're sort of focusing on other things to sort of help their platforms.
For sure. No, that's a great way to put it. And in that kind of, coincides perfectly with what we were talking about, where we're going to see social media stars become, even bigger stars. Jake Paul is a great example of that, to bring
Hmm.
him up again. All that he's made through boxing and
Hmm.
his just wonderful fights. It's but he's multi millionaire, off of it. And it's created a huge, career
Hmm.
for him. Um, I just feel like that might be the easier outlet. And then again, like you perfectly, hit it up with the unfortunate Amanda Bynes, debacle that had
Hmm.
happened. And, obviously it stems even larger than that, but like, just the networks controlling, the really, I guess, the NIL of,
Hmm.
these
Yeah.
child, actors, due to contract
Hmm.
reasons, and then they're locked into that and can't really, expand on their careers to a certain extent. People are avoiding that by, you have the safety, safety net of your own home,
Hmm.
your parents' supervision of creating your own videos for
Hmm.
YouTube, for example. We've seen plenty of kiddos on YouTube become super famous by toy reviews
Hmm.
or doing like storytelling on there. Things like that can allow them to
Yeah.
become super popular. So yeah, there's, I guess, different better ways to do it, and maybe we'll see a lot more of that because we're just kind of like in the midst, I guess,
Hmm.
of that kind of generation.
Yeah, yeah, we are, and we'll see where it goes. Because yeah, there's so many other ways, and like I say, these platforms, these kids platforms, at least Nickelodeon, Disney, I don't think they have the same prestige as they used to many years ago when we were probably children. Compared to, I think a lot of these kids just trying to make it into the movie industry now. That's the goal. It's making it into the big screen because I think a lot of those that are stuck in Disney, that's where they stay. I don't think they get much growth from there unless you're lucky, like, Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo. There's a few others that have gotten successful from those type of show, that platform. So we'll see. And like I said, that's sort of part of this, that they're sort of not trying to grow these young stars, these non big movie stars, and sort of focusing on those prestigious actors. Because, like I say, nothing against Leo. Leo does great in all his movies, but like I say, but if he's in like 6 movies in a year, it's sort of like, man, that's just too much. I'm getting a little bored of you, Leo. Like you're a great guy, great actor,
Mhm.
but man, I don't need to see you in every single thing. Give this other person a chance to see if they could do just as great as you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's kind of how I see, like, I reference him a lot. I love Will Ferrell. I love his
Hmm.
his his movies. I'm a big fan. Um, Land of the Lost was kind of like that curtain call for me.
Yeah.
He had such a spectacular run.
Hmm.
Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, you
Hmm.
name it. Just that
Yeah.
run of what he had going. And then he reached Land of the Lost, and it's like, "Ooh, you hit a little bit of a curb there, buddy." Because
Yeah.
I watched it, yes, but it didn't hit the same for me as
Yeah.
like others. Had a lot more mixed reviews for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's you can love and adore certain actors, actresses, but
Hmm.
yeah, there's a certain point where it's like, we've seen you a lot, dude. Like, take a little
Yeah.
break, come back later. You've made plenty of money.
Yeah. Do you, like question for you, just sort of seeing it. Do you think some of these directors should start taking more of a chance because it could sort of look better for them? Like, hey, we made this amazing movie and I used non-big stars, and now it sort of brings that director up, their prestige up, and more known and get more greenlit movies because of it, because they're not just sticking to the normal script.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially if you're like super confident in the work that you can do.
Hmm.
Like you've had great success with, maybe some of your smaller budget films as you've been up and coming. You're a great creative mind, blah blah blah. Like you can have a lot to back it up, and I think that those risks are absolutely worth the
Hmm.
rewards. We're going to talk about award season coming up here.
Hmm.
Like all of those things should absolutely be considered in, risks taken.
Hmm.
You use lesser known, actors and actresses in roles, and then you expand upon it. You create a career for them, but also it's like, man, like you've started something new, and it's like, yeah, let's hand,
Hmm.
Bob Smith even more director roles because look what he did with that, so and so movie. Like
Hmm.
it's absolutely there. Of course, on the other end of things, it could completely flop, and it's like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
what were you thinking?
Yeah.
That was a great role for Brad Pitt to take on, and
Yeah.
you gave it to some chubby guy.
Yeah.
Like what were you thinking? Should but it just happens. Like
Hmm.
I feel like yeah, I feel like that's definitely worth it. No, it needs to be seen more because, you know, you talk about Christopher Nolan.
Hmm.
His work is, it's masterful. He's an
Hmm.
absolutely, a master class in the industry. And, there's only a select few directors that are really like that.
Hmm.
There upper echelon directors. And, it's just that creativity and the way that they get there is just their style of filming.
Yeah.
And, the hidden meanings of things and, just the theater behind, just a camera. And that can be seen, with how much you can expand upon, expanding a
Hmm.
role of somebody who's unknown.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. I think he does great. I think he always brings a few unknown actors, or like actors that probably were popular back in the day, and sort of rejuvenating their career. Um, but yeah, Christopher Nolan does. There's so many directors that do so great with that. But yeah, I think, a director taking a chance on some of these unknowns just because they fit the role a lot better, and not just because it's a name. Um, it it hits really well because, like I say, one big one is from Weapons. The person that played Aunt Gladys, she's been an actress for quite a while, but man, that role really was an
Mhm.
amazing role. She did amazing. I don't know if anybody else could have. And, a little bit of a spoiler for later, she won a Critics' Choice Award for that role as a supporting actress. So,
Oh,
like I say, it's something that sort of might bring more attention to her, more roles, because they saw her work. And it's great because, like I said, there's some of the winners and some of the nominees that I'll mention that I think have a successful future because of how well they did in those roles.
no, see, and that's perfect. That's awesome to hear because, yeah, her role in that film really stood out.
Yeah,
Even though she's, a supporting role, it's like if you stand out like that, like, it's almost like you're controlling the film.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it's awesome. Happy to hear that because it's well
Hmm.
deserved. Yeah. Did the
Yeah.
makeup person get an award as
Uh,
well for
I think they got
instead
nominated,
of
but I don't think they won.
okay,
I think it was a tough category. So, like I say,
got
that
it.
was for the Critics' Choice. So we'll go over that a little bit. Some Golden Globes coming
Sure.
up this weekend. But yeah.
All right. I will send you another take here, John. Um,
Okay.
let's see. You good with that?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, we're
Good
good.
on time. All right, love it. All right, there you go, sir.
All right. So fouls are up this season, maybe dramatically. Early trackers suggest the league is calling more fouls and free throws than in decades, and if this pace continues, we might be looking at one of the most foul-heavy years in NBA history. Yeah, I've seen a lot of replays. I will admit I haven't watched basketball as closely because NFL's been on and that's been the priority sports. I think when I get a chance
Oh
to
yeah.
watch a sport, I'll watch NFL highlights before NBA. But the few I do see, there's just a lot more fouls, and I'll also say there's just a lot more flopping. I don't know if you saw, I don't know if I sent it to you or if I just liked it, but Jaylen Brown mentioned it in a comment. And I don't know
Oh
if it
yeah, I
was
saw that.
AI. You saw it? Okay, so it could be real, but
Hmm.
him sort of saying, the way to get paid in this league is by flopping. Flopping is the way to go, and that is what's happening right now. And like I say, it's just making basketball unwatchable and just unentertaining, and it's sort of why we were sort of going to talk about the NBA today is just NBA is becoming unwatchable because some of these players, some of these teams, and some of the games, I think one big culprit of this isn't just one person on this team, it's the entire team. Uh, OKC Thunder. I think this is one team that does it
Hmm.
all the time. Shea is a great talent. If he was a Clipper, I probably wouldn't be saying this. We would have never traded him and he was doing this for the Clippers, but he is one of the biggest floppers. He barely gets touched. He is the new James Harden. When Harden was doing his little roundabout, getting the hand sucked and always getting those shots called or those fouls called. But that entire team, I think, does it, and they also do it on the other end of fouling and not even getting fouls called. Uh, I think I mentioned it to you. Dort is the new Draymond Green 2.0. But at times, honestly, some of the stuff Dort does, I think, is even worse than what Draymond did. And Draymond's been really bad many seasons. So, it's one of the teams. It's just frustrating to see. Um, we saw some highlights. I think it was this past week with Golden State, right, where Steph Curry got angry. Steve Kerr was pissed off with a foul that was
Yep.
called for Shea, which I don't even think anybody touched him from the looks of it.
Yeah, the breeze of a defender's arm is all that
Yeah.
was really touching Shea on that particular play. It's been downright outrageous. And I think the most common word I use when we talk about this, John, is it's unwatchable.
Hmm.
Like I'm actually because I think it might be good content for the pod. I've really considered emailing the NBA and just telling them to watch like certain clips, and it's like you tell me, like, is that watchable? Because that play in particular, yeah, I enjoy the Warriors wearing a Spurs retro hat,
Yeah.
but I just like that, I like the vibes. But just really anybody who plays the Thunder, it's
Hmm.
like the lopsided call is so evident. It's ridiculous. And SGA in particular, there's countless highlights of him, where he's taking a three, but like where his feet finish,
Hmm.
he's literally putting the lower half of his body diagonal into a
Yeah.
defender's feet when the defender's a solid 3 feet away from them.
Yeah.
And, it draws a foul because obviously there's that rule where you can't step under a defender, but or a shooter. It's like, but if they are blatantly doing that, I just don't understand. Like, even if you do call it, how are you not even trying to review it quickly? Like,
Hmm.
one thing that I've really enjoyed with the NFL keeping a higher paced, more rapid game this season is the use of AI. I think
Hmm.
it's been extremely beneficial for, line judging, for example, in ball placement. I think
Hmm.
that's been great. There's been quick decisions on penalties, whether it was
Yeah.
one or not. Like, I think that rapid decision making is what the NBA needs to adopt, and they're
Hmm.
they're lacking it like crazy. Um, because most of this is just utter crap. In
Yeah.
SGA, like I agree with all of the comments that people are saying, like he is the weakest MVP of all time. I will say it. I too think that. Like, yeah, he's a very, very good player. Don't get me wrong. They won the championship fair and square. That's great. But him personally, like him getting to the line 15, 20 times, 24 times a
Hmm.
game, of course he's going to average 30
Yeah.
plus points a game.
Yeah.
It's just downright ridiculous. Like that is what he's made his game to be. He's my next most despised player that I really did not like at all was James Harden on the Rockets
Hmm.
because he had that stupid, like takes the ball, switches sides, and then if somebody like tries to get the ball, like he'll force contact and it gets called every single time. He would
Hmm.
lean into, fouls here and there, and it was just the worst type of basketball to watch. I absolutely despise it. And yeah, there needs to be a drastic change because it's like, ridiculous. Even watching Dort, I'm glad you brought him up too. Like, especially with what he does against Wemby, like putting
Hmm.
his feet out, and obviously Wemby has some
Yeah.
he has some absolute clod hoppers on him.
Oh
Those
yeah.
feet are gigantuan,
Yeah.
but like it's so obvious that he's put like he's trying to trip him. He's putting
Uh-huh.
his leg out there, and a guy who's 7'5", if he falls, like that is a towering fall. Like that is,
Hmm.
injury at any moment type of fall. It's just terrible for the game. And it's
Yeah.
such a bad look. And it's outrageous because yeah, and it's also tough to watch a guy like SGA get as many foul calls as he gets. And then you have a superstar like Steph who doesn't get any.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's frustrating because, like I said, there's some stars that go to the rim, they get hit all the time, and they barely get any calls, and they don't complain as much, it's part of the game. But yeah, then seeing Shea get every single thing, it gets frustrating because it's like I did that last game, and you guys didn't even get close to calling it multiple times. So it's frustrating for players to see. And the Dort with Wemby thing, the one thing that sort of irked me about what he did during that, I think it was the last game, is like, I think San Antonio goes for a shot, it misses. Wemby's already covered by two players, but Dort just comes in between that open space that Wemby has, and he just sort of just like elbows him right in the back, and just sort of you could tell it wasn't even a basketball play. He was just trying to push him out of the way, and honestly, I think he was trying to hurt him. And it's like it doesn't get
Mhm.
called. Like that is just a dirty play. And like I say, I threw Draymond in there because it's sort of a Draymond type play. But like I said, I think this was a lot more dirtier than what Draymond did because Draymond does it on the rebounds, kicking his legs out, passing the ball and then, accidentally stepping on someone thinking he tripped, but what I think Dort is doing is intentionally trying to hurt some of these players. Almost like what I forget your player that sort of did it to Kawhi in the finals or in the playoffs. That
Hmm.
or was it Kawhi where he stuck his foot under him? Um, I forget his name,
Was it
but I think
West?
no, it wasn't West, but
Hmm.
like, a play like that where, Dort sort of, you mentioned it. Shea kicks his legs out to sort of get the foul. Dort puts his legs under players and he doesn't care about getting the foul. He wants to hurt him, because like I say, you fall on a leg like
Hmm.
that, you're gonna twist your ankle, you could tear something, you could be out multiple weeks. So, very dirty player in my mind. OKC fans are probably going to hate this take because we're talking smack about it, but we're not going to hold back. Um, but I think the NBA needs to make a change to make it watchable and make the ratings go up because, like you mentioned with James Harden, I think ratings were really down during that era when he was getting all the foul calls. I don't think many people watched it, and then it sort of went away. They controlled it, they stopped calling it. And then I think it's where basketball got good again for a few years. But now we're getting into the Shea flop era because another player that does it, LaFlop James, he does it all the time. Barely gets touched and That dude's a great actor. I've seen him in a few movies, and I think that might be his calling after this season. Go into acting, retire from the NBA because your acting's amazing. Because you barely get touched, and you fall on the floor and just hold your face when it wasn't even close to your face. And like I said, he gets the calls. It's just part of the game, but it just makes this game unwatchable.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and LeBron's the perfect example of that. I just recently saw, you might have sent it to me. I forget if you might have shared it with me or if I might have just seen it on my own. I saw a full, like, I think it was like a 10-minute montage
Oh, yeah, I think
of
it's
LeBron flops.
yeah.
And
It was amazing.
it was it was incredible. Like, it's the delayed like response. It's like, yeah, he definitely got his acting from Looney Tunes number two. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. Again, like, he's not as good as the great Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He's not this guy. So it's just like it's just that, and then coinciding with, I don't know if there was another one I saw. I think it was literally the same day. Like, him not helping his teammates up. He's like, "Oh yeah, we all help each other up." And then
Oh
after
yeah.
that, like, it was like a montage of him not helping his teammates up,
Yeah.
and like he'll step over his teammates, and
Yeah.
then everybody's saying like, "Oh yeah, Russell Westbrook was speaking the truth," and blah blah
Hmm.
blah. And yeah, it's like super valid. And then, a lot of this, John, brings me back to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe. They approved the flopping rule where you
Hmm.
can get fined. I think they say like up to $2,000 per
Yep.
flop. And then I think that, yeah, there's an unsportsman like technical foul and a free throw
Hmm.
associated with it as well. When was the last time that was even called?
I don't think it's been
Because
called at all.
I
Let's
don't,
see.
yeah, it's like, what was the point of you guys doing that?
Yeah,
Um,
I think they called it for a while, but I think it probably hasn't happened that much because in the end, it's probably based off a lot of it's probably based off the referees calling it a flop. I'm looking at it. Um,
oh, I see here. Uh,
Jordan
oh no, they
Poole.
made it permanent.
So in 2024, NBA fines for flopping six fines total
Huh,
from 3
phenomenal.
25 to 11 24. So almost in a year, they've only had three. Jordan Poole was one. Donovan Mitchell, he is one I probably have seen a bit. Josh Hart, Zaire Williams with Brooklyn, Jalen Suggs, Zach Collins. I don't see Shea. I don't see LeBron. I don't see. Those are the two big culprits I see. I don't see Harden. You know, players we know
Hmm.
from the looks of it flop. So it it just doesn't make sense. I think they did it for a bit, and after that, they're like, yeah, let's not worry about it.
Yeah,
2023.
they're going.
So
Uh-huh.
2023, there was a lot more. So there was $52,000 worth of fines in 2023. So
Hmm.
2024, it was 12. 2022, they didn't have it in 2022. So they haven't really done it much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I it's absolutely just ridiculous that, like, you can literally choose any game you want. You can find at
Mhm.
least one or two flops in there.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, especially if you follow the trails of SGA or LeBron in every
Yeah.
single one. It'll be so easy to find.
Yeah. And 2023, those two aren't on the list at all for fines.
Wow. Just it's just embarrassing. It's such
Mhm.
a terrible form of basketball. Like,
Mhm.
you have of course we're all going to watch the Thunder deep into the playoffs this year. It's
Yeah.
just going to happen with the record and how they're playing and blah blah blah. But like, we're going to be consumed by an NBA playoffs that's going to be, if they don't, like, they'll shoot a zillion free throws. If they don't get a call in a late close game, they're all gonna like, turn, Chet, SGA, Caruso, they're all gonna be like, "Ooh, where is the call?" Blah blah blah. And it's just gonna be so annoying to watch. Like I'm already prepared to be annoyed.
Mhm.
Like the Warriors don't even have to be in it. I just have to be annoyed for the opponent because it's just such a horrible form of basketball. Like you're watching fouls, you're watching people literally be free throw merchants, go to the line repeatedly, and then you're just watching a game of ref. Like,
Yeah.
is that what we're paying for at this point? Like, it's just outrageous. They're way too involved.
hmm Yeah,
Way
they're
too
they're way
involved.
they're way too involved, you know. It's what we'll see because we saw it from OKC this year during the in-season tournament. I don't know if you saw the replays of when they played the Spurs and they lost to the Spurs in the in-season tournament, and that's why probably Dort's a little mad
Hmm.
at the Spurs and playing a lot harder because they didn't get their calls, you know. It's like they lost and Caruso was cussing out like, that bullshit, like it's just it's crazy to think they just have this privilege thinking that they're the best when honestly they're just getting helped. They're pretty much the Chiefs of the NBA right now where the Zebras are on their side. Why the NBA has this scenario in this game script, I don't know. Um and like I say, for the NBA right now, what could happen at the end of the season, depending on how things go, OKC could end up with a freaking top pick, which is scary because they own
Yep.
the Clippers number one. And if you could tell about my Clippers, we just suck. We are a bad
Yeah.
team. We're gonna be in that draft lottery, and just like when we gave up our number one pick to Cleveland, or our first round pick to Cleveland that became the number one pick, which was a long shot as well, which they got Kyrie. Man, it could be bad for us. Not having the number one pick and giving that top pick to OKC, who might be on back to backs. It's crazy.
Yeah. That is a crazy thought. The GM there has done a phenomenal job, though. I will say
hmm
that. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
that is really awesome. Uh-oh, I think I forgot to do the puzzle piece thing. I have to rejoin the live. But while I'm doing that, like your
Mhm.
Clippers beat my Warriors today as well. So,
Okay.
not so fast. Your record is slowly but surely getting closer to 500.
hmm
But I think overall the product that the NBA has right now is abysmal. And it's not a talent standpoint. It's just the way it's laid out. I
Yeah.
feel like less and less people care about the in-season tournament. That's not as fun. Um, the superstars are good, but when you promote one player in particular who draws as much fouls as he does and his style of play is so abysmal, nobody has fun with it. Um,
hmm
and then you have a load management issue. You have a
hmm
massive complaining issue is another one.
hmm
Like it's just like everybody's just begging for a call every single moment.
hmm
Um, it's ridiculous. So I hope it changes. I hope they can do something to correct it. But right now, if this might be low-key a hot take, I think baseball has a better product than the NBA at the moment.
Oh wow.
I will say
I
that. It's that bad in my opinion.
I will agree with that right now. I think the way it is this year, if I had to choose between watching baseball regular season, NBA regular season, I'd probably watch baseball. Just on how dedicated and how much more I've bought into baseball compared to basketball. Even though I've always been a basketball
Mhm.
fan, playing basketball as a kid, we'd always play basketball, a sport I think we all enjoy watching and playing. I think I'd rather watch baseball because the product is just so much more entertaining. And like I say, my team, the Dodgers, it's a team everybody wants to beat. and it just becomes good baseball where it's like with this, everybody wants to beat OKC, but you can't even beat OKC because everybody's helping OKC. So it just doesn't make it
Yeah,
entertaining until the playoffs. And like you say, in the playoffs, we're already prepared to see them at the free throw line 40% of the game, probably.
absolutely. Yeah, no, that's the perfect way to put it is like, yeah, is it annoying for every non-Dodger fan to witness the Dodgers win as much as they are
Hmm.
and, sign all these players? Yeah, of course it's annoying. But at least it's like that arch villain or superhero in your case that
Hmm.
everybody kind of has to go up against that that you can defeat in a number of ways. Toronto literally almost did it this year,
Yeah.
and they were an unexpected team to begin with.
Hmm.
And their roster has built up pretty good this offseason also.
Hmm.
So it's just like, but at least it feels more like a level playing field, even with the separation of talent.
Hmm.
Of course, you're going to have like your absolutely abysmal teams, so, as
Yeah.
does any sport. But if you're a somewhat competitive team, you put the right things together, teams will just click. That's why Moneyball was so fun to watch
Hmm.
with that massive win streak the A's had way back when with a bunch of no-name players.
Yeah.
Um, it just can happen. And I think that's what's great. But yeah, if you can just go and draw a bunch of fouls and be on the line 40 times a game, of course it's going to be lopsided, and that's all the difference in the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, it can take a crowd out of it. God, I hate that. I hate it. Such a terrible product. OKC lost by 30 almost today to Charlotte of all teams. Shout
Mhm.
out Charlotte. Good for you guys, because yeah, just ridiculous. 44-97. That's quite a defeat. Um, did they get their free throws today? Let's
Uh,
see.
Probably
Oh, they
not.
still shot 27. Shea only got
Uh,
6. See what can happen?
hmm.
Wow. 7 of 21 shooting as well. See, if he doesn't get his free throws, I'm not that overly impressed.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think he's a great player, great shooter, but yeah, I think he gets a majority of his points via free throw. He's a 55% field goal shooter, so barely hitting half his
That is very
shots,
good.
you
Yeah,
know.
it is good.
So,
Well, it's decent, right? From
yeah.
from 2 point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like
Free
yeah, I
throw,
don't
he's
know.
at 88%, so doesn't hit all of them, but still, you know, career wise, he's 50%. So, you know, plays well, like I said, but this is a team that isn't full of stars. They get a lot of the calls. I think they had quite a few players out this week. I don't think Chet was playing, or who's the other big guy? I forget the other big guy name. Or Chet was playing actually. Okay, but yeah, like I said, but we'll see what happens. But I hope it gets more entertaining. NBA, it's something I think we'll start watching a bit more because NFL's getting winding down. We like to
Mhm.
watch sports and talk about sports, and it is a sport we do watch and know quite a bit. It's just we haven't been as committed or into it because of how the NBA has been playing out with all these fouls and just being foul heavy, and every game having a lot more foul calls than normal. It takes away from the game that we
Yeah,
liked, and yeah, it wasn't like this back in the Jordan era, even Kobe era days.
yeah, I completely agree. I feel like once Kobe left, a lot of those physical elements of the game left at the same
Yeah.
time. And it's also the new generations of athletes coming up. Great talents. Again, that's not the issue.
Hmm.
Talent is by far not the issue. It's just the way the game's played.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just the way the game's played, called, but like I said, we'll see what the NBA comes up with. And we could call that banter takes and just sort of go into our NBA talk and start with that since we've been talking NBA, continue going with it.
Yeah.
And with our banter takes, like as always, if you guys agree, disagree, let us know. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We want to hear where you guys stand with all our takes. You guys might agree, hate what we say. And the OKC fans right now with our foul call take, you guys are probably not too happy, but more NBA talk. For me, some of the highlights: Cooper Flag really playing as that number one pick, playing great for Dallas. Um, Averaging 19.6 rebounds, 4 assists. What's crazy, one of the stats I saw in one of the highlights is he's about to hit his max minutes that he's ever hit in college. So the most amount of time he's played in college basketball in a season, he's about to hit that right now in the NBA, and we're barely halfway through. So
Wow.
we'll see how his body holds up for the rest of the season because I think that's the big change and shift for a lot of these college players coming into the NBA. It's just more games, more time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and I that's one of those New Year's takes where I might be slightly wrong. I said that, well, you never know. Because I said he won't be like top of the league status
Hmm.
of like maybe some previous number one
Hmm.
picks, but he could be, a decently,
Hmm.
consistent like all-star here and there. I guess that's somewhat valid, but he's playing higher than to a level that I wasn't even really,
Hmm.
expecting out of him so soon. But yeah, he's looked great. I've seen some of the highlights of him. It's been phenomenal. A big thing is, I guess I'll start with the Warriors. The Warriors, my favorite thing to do at the moment, as far as commenting on social
Hmm.
media is every single Warriors highlight or Michael Porter Jr. highlight I see. I say, Michael, I say, Dunleavy, get on the phone, make the call, and I'll at the Warriors. So I'll continue to do that until they make a trade, because we need it. Draymond, excluding probably today's game, unless he got ejected. I believe he's been ejected 6 out of the last 7. And the reason he wasn't ejected out of the seventh was because it was a rest game. So yeah, he's on a fucking roll. Excuse my French. He's just looking to get tossed. He goes on spurts like this. We know
Hmm.
this as anybody who's watched the NBA, especially Warriors fans. We know this is what he does. But I feel like this time, like, I don't know, ever since the Jordan Poole thing, that really
Hmm.
bothered me. And then he's just such a damper in moments where we have a ton of hype. It used to
Hmm.
be moments where, like, he would get the crowd to erupt, get behind him. Now his antics, in my opinion, are just like they silence momentum. And I hate that. It's like, dude, why do you have to go shove that guy right now? Can't
Yeah.
you wait until like we need some type of reciprocal action going? Like
Yeah.
just now's not the time. There's a time and a place, and it's just exhausting. So quite frankly, at this point, I would be more than willing to ship him and of course Pods and probably Kuminga off for if we could get MPJ and Claxton for him, that
Okay.
trio, I would be over the moon. We can include Moody in there too. I love Moody, but
Hmm.
if that's what gets that deal done to get a big, well, two bigs, but one that can actually shoot as well,
Yeah.
I think it would make all the difference in the world. But a big part of me thinks Steph won't let that happen. I think after what happened with Clay, he doesn't want to see any more of that element leave. Unless
Hmm.
Steph is genuinely tired of it as well. In other news, another eye-catching thing for me is the lack of control by JJ Redick of the Los Angeles Lakers. That
Oh
dude has
yeah.
zero just management of that team. Most recently, oh, we're gonna feel it in practice tomorrow. It's gonna get a little uncomfortable. They showed highlights of that practice and they're like doing trick shots and
Yeah.
through the leg dunks and it's like that looks pretty typical, dude. Like I don't know what it is. I think it's a LeBron problem. But how much do you think of an issue this is with JJ himself?
I think it's a big issue. I honestly never thought JJ was the guy for there. I thought that was a LeBron hire. I thought it was LeBron getting his buddy in. I think they would do
Yep.
podcasting together, like stuff like that. So JJ basketball knowledge is great, but coaching wise, I don't know if he has everything to be a great coach, or he can't be a LeBron James coach because, like I said, that's your friend Rich Paul's always there. You can't be as hard on him and the team and criticize that player because you're just gonna get blackballed from the NBA because LeBron James could do that to you. So I think it's more a little bit of both. I don't know if JJ is a guy. I always questioned that hire when it happened. Like I say, like JJ when he was you know, on the news, always doing sports takes, talking about NBA, great knowledge. But coaching wise, it's a totally different thing. And like I say, we've seen not all past players could be NBA coaches. And then LeBron James, what to say, what to say, what to say. Big baby, that guy should retire. I think he's just enjoying himself, getting paid, trying to get the glory. I saw that one clip that just sort of I laugh about it, but it also frustrates me that it's like you don't care about the team, and especially I'm not a I'm not a Laker fan. Support the Lakers when they're in it because it's an LA team. Always a Kobe fan, but it's like you're putting a bad name to that franchise because that one game where they had a call for LeBron and he was just chit-chatting with a bunch of the opposite team and JJ Redick had to call a
Mhm.
timeout because he wasn't even paying attention. It's like, dude, do your
Yep.
job. Like I say, I hate to use that term and that saying because I know it's a whole different thing of how it was used before, but do your job. You're there to play. You're not there to chit chat with that bench. Chit chat with them after the game. Go up to them and just do your little, what you guys always do, talking with your hands over your mouth. Do it after the game. Don't do
Yeah.
it during the game. That's just disrespectful to your to team, players, and that franchise. Because, like I say, it's such a bad look for the Lakers.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a very, prestigious franchise in the NBA, of course. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's a terrible image. And it's a guy who, missed, a good portion of the first part of the season. Um, and for him to come back and like change the flow of things, really, it puts a big damper on things and it's a terrible
Hmm.
look. And, that coinciding with, just his constant flopping, his lack of
Hmm.
hustle on defense, countless times there's highlights of him just not even getting down the floor. It's like, dude, if you're gonna play the game that way, just call it. Like, I don't think me personally, I wouldn't be dying to go watch a LeBron James game right now.
Hmm.
Like, there's plenty of I could
Yeah.
name I could probably name 20 to 30 players I'd rather see in front of LeBron at the moment. Like, it's just it's
Yeah.
it's whatever, and it's embarrassing. And there's like no sense of leadership. You look to a guy like that for like, a leadership type of role or whatever, and
Hmm.
it's like you're never gonna get it. Like, you might as
Yeah.
well talk with Luca or
Hmm.
somebody else, chat it up with Reeves. I don't know, but like you're not gonna get it from him. He's very self-centered, and it
Hmm.
just comes across that way. And then you coincide that with like what Westbrook had to say about him previously, and just the fake locker room vibes. It's so evident, and we
Yeah.
know who it's directed towards. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, Russ didn't deserve that treatment that the Lakers gave him. He's way
Yeah.
too good for that.
Yeah. LeBron does the New Year's resolution of reading 50 books per year, and he only gets 10 pages of each beginning of the book that he shows
Yep.
during some of his interviews. It's always a new book, and I don't think he's ever finished one, truthfully, but who knows?
Yep.
But yeah,
Valid.
and then a little bit on my Clippers. Not the start we wanted for the season. A lot of drama with Chris Paul. Um, I I don't know what I feel about this team this year. We'll be a playing team if we can make a run. Kawhi's having a legendary stretch right now. Old Kawhi, primetime Kawhi's coming out. Let's see if we could keep it up. But this team, like I say, we were the all unk team. How old we all our players are. If we could make a playing game, I don't know if we'll have a shot against some of these teams, but you never know. It's the NBA. But I'm curious to see what we do after this year because, like I say, we have to make a change. We don't got draft picks. and all the drama with Balmer sort of went away, but still, I think it's a little stain on our franchise. So, and like I said, I think I would still go watch the Clippers before the Lakers. I'd go watch Kawhi. I like watching him a lot more than LeBron, and honestly, that stadium's I enjoy, you know, the their stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, in like I was looking at the standings. You guys are a better team than Memphis.
Hmm.
So I mean that's next in line for the play-in opportunity. You guys
Yeah.
have won 7 out of your last 10.
Hmm.
It's you guys are definitely in the right direction. And I read an article earlier today, and I guess as a Clipper fan, I definitely want to hear your insight on this.
Hmm.
Um, Trey Young is discussing the possibility of a trade with the Atlanta Hawks at the moment.
Hmm.
Would you do you think he would make a difference to the Clippers, and would you want to trade for him as a fan?
Um, it would depend what we have to give up. It all depends
Hmm.
on what we need to give up because I feel like for us to make a trade that will make a difference, it's gonna be we have to give up probably Harden. We have to give up you know, who's the other guy? Zubac. Zubac's the big piece that I think everybody's gonna want from our team. After that, everybody
Yeah.
else is pretty. And, like I said, Bradley Beal was supposed to be a big help for us this year. Out for the season, I think it is. A lot of injuries.
Jeez.
Bogdanovich out with an injury. Harden's been out with an injury. Jones Jr. been out with an injury. Like I said, Lopez isn't what he used to be. Good supporting, and Zubac too has been injured quite a bit. So, you know, we don't have many pieces, and like I say, I don't want to be continuing giving up our next first round picks 3 years from now because we don't have any first round picks for the next few years. So it's sort of like we're gonna have to probably start rebuilding from the ground up with draft picks. And like I say, if we get to a point, it's where we have to maybe trade James Harden, trade Kawhi Leonard next year or whenever for some draft picks and some draft capital just to be able to rebuild this squad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, I agree. I think that yeah, you guys are trending in the right direction. And it's a
Hmm.
bummer for a guy like Kawhi because these are like, some of his final good years.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that as a Warriors fan with Curry.
Hmm.
But based off of positioning and this some of the other teams and talent that you guys would have to go up against,
Hmm.
I think if there's like a certain point, like if you guys are still like, I don't know, nine-ish games under 500 to
Hmm.
like maybe shortly after the All-Star break or whenever the deadline is
Hmm.
looming, I think trades need to be considered. And then if you guys could just garner that draft capital for getting rid of somebody like Harden, I've seen that it seemed like Houston or
Yeah.
I forget what other team I saw rumored that, could be in the running for a guy like him. Um, I think for some reason I saw Dallas, but that doesn't even make sense with what the record is.
Hmm.
Um, it could be, just a possibility, and I think it's something worth looking at just to
Yeah.
get that draft capital and look towards
Yeah.
the future. It's more than necessary.
Yeah.
Because again, it's unk status with the Clippers this year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what we would have to do. Like I say, I think Trey Young can make a difference, but what we have to give up, I don't think is worth it for Trey Young. Like I say, he could make a
Yeah.
difference, but it's not a long-term factor. It's not a franchise star for the future. It's uh it's sort of covering up a wound for another wound. We're taking that band-aid off of one wound to put, Trey Young there, but we're still bleeding out somewhere else. So it's not gonna help us at all if we have to get rid of like Zubox or something. So like I say, it's gonna be
Yeah.
hard for us to make much of a move. I think it's draft capital, cap space we have to clear up and maybe be able to sign some free agents next year with Kawhi still being good and Bradley Beal could come back healthy and play 70% of Bradley Beal's potential. We could have a chance.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
wonder if I wonder if the Lakers could be buyers
They could be.
on
I
on
think Lakers
him.
will be.
Yeah, that makes a little
Uh,
bit more sense.
uh,
Um, some assets that they could give up. Maybe
yeah.
Hachimura would have to go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's see. That's definitely a big name that's looming already.
Hmm.
It's really in the season. It hasn't been a fit there for a while. I think that
Yeah.
that ship has sailed long ago for
Hmm.
Trae Young in the Hawks, with their off-season issues too. But yeah, no, yeah, I think that's the biggest trade name we'll see. Certainly, we'll see a lot more action as we get further in the
Hmm.
season.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
we'll see a lot more. We'll see if Giannis, like I say, they're not in play.
mhm.
They're outside of the playoffs right now, but Giannis is always a guy to be a threat. But could he be on the move? We'll see. There were rumors about it. February 5th, I think, is the trade deadline, so there's a month left
Okay.
before the trade deadline. So we'll see probably a lot of more rumors, action probably happening during the next few weeks. Um, but yeah, and then NBA, I think the only other thing, Knuppel, with the Hornets. That
Oh
dude's
yeah,
having a great season, man. Like if it's not Cooper Flag that wins Rookie of the Year, it has to be Con. He's been playing it great for the Hornets. Like I said, they're not in the playoffs, but that guy's just been balling it out and could be a great centerpiece for the future for that team.
absolutely. Another Duke Blue Devil. Phenomenal. Dude is a three-point machine. I think
Yeah.
he's top five in the NBA for average on three-pointers, and I want to say he's like, I think he was third or fourth all time for quickest player to a certain amount of threes.
Hmm.
He might have even been first. But yeah, phenomenal. 23 points again today.
Hmm.
5 of 7 from three. He's averaging what, 19, 5 and 3.
Yeah.
Um, it's been lights out.
Hmm.
42% from three. That is
Yeah.
some phenomenal shooting.
Yeah. That's really good.
Hell of a player. Hell of a
Yeah.
player. And the expectation was there, but not quite to this extent. I don't
Hmm.
think so soon. But yeah, he's the fourth overall pick. But yeah, no, in Charlotte, I mean, let's see if they keep LaMelo Ball. I know his minutes have been impacted by Con's
Yeah.
play, but let's see. They're a fun team.
Yeah, no, they're a fun team to watch. He's a fun player. Um, yeah, him playing VJ Edgecombe from Philly. Man, Philly, if they could stay healthy, that could be a team that makes a run in the playoffs. Like I say, Paul George, Joel Embiid stay healthy. Maxi's come out as a superstar from there. That's the guy to watch out of Philly. It's not Embiid, it's Maxi. And then like I said, Edgecombe. They got Grimes. They got so many pieces that, like I said, if they could put it all together, that's a very dangerous team that could come out of the East.
Absolutely. I'm also very surprised with how well Boston's playing
Hmm.
without Tatum this year. They have been very good.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of like they draft really well.
Hmm.
There's been a couple of players. There's been I paid kind of close attention to Luca Garza coming out of
Hmm.
college because he was like an athletic big. Um, he just had a great shot on him. And I guess in the last like 7 or 8 games, they've won 6 out of their last seven with him on the floor at like for a certain amount of minutes. It's hard to take him off the floor at the moment. He's playing really
Yeah.
well. Um, I think the Anthony Simons trade was
Hmm.
phenomenal.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was kind of a fleece, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I believe it's Jordan Walsh. Yes. Jordan Walsh had a run earlier this season, and he's still playing decent. He's just not getting the minutes as often. But he was electric. Like this dude just does it all. Yeah, Jordan Walsh was phenomenal. He's only 21 out of Arkansas. I don't know. They just find this talent and stay relevant.
Yeah. No, yeah, but Boston's doing well. I'm surprised they're that well. Like I say, only imagine if they had all their players, Tatum was healthy, that team would be unstoppable and probably be the favorite to come out of the East. Um, so yeah, they draft well. That's a solid team. Like I say, it's a team you could sort of say I root for because of the wifey. It's part of the
Yep.
family. Um, but yeah. That's a good team. Well, one player, like I say, I feel bad for him because I always saw I talked about him a lot pre-draft. Young Hansen out of Portland. That dude's struggling to get
Uh-huh.
minutes. I don't know why Portland
Yep.
drafted him because clinging. That dude's been lighting it up. Rebound machine for Portland, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so like I say, I unfortunate not to see him, as someone that looked like he could be a great star as a big guy in the NBA. I like I told you, that would have been a perfect guy for you guys in Golden State. We'll see if he gets traded because, like I say, it's unfortunate. He's barely last game against Utah, just got 2 minutes, which for someone who had such a possible bright future, not getting much playing time, it's gonna hurt him.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, looking at Denny Avdija, that dude is so good.
Oh, yeah, him too.
He was
Yeah.
very good when he was with Washington, but he fills the stat sheet 25, 7, and 7.
Mhm.
When I did a little, I haven't done daily fantasy in a while,
Yeah.
but when I was doing some props, Avdija was always a good go-to
Hmm.
for the rebounds, points, assists category because again, he fills the stat sheet. He's very consistent. He's a great
Yeah.
player. Um, there is some rumors between the Warriors and in Blazers. I read today, possibility of maybe a guy like Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant for Kuminga could be a thing.
Hmm.
I wouldn't mind either of them.
Hmm.
They're both great players. Um, but yeah, they're I guess a playoff team at the moment.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just odd. It's a bummer to see, like you mentioned, some players, end up on teams that just don't utilize them the way
Yeah.
they should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can sort of say like the Heat did that a little bit, and like I said, I'm not gonna call it favoritism for some of their players, but the Heat when they drafted, I think it was 2 years ago, they drafted the kid out of Camarillo here, local kid, uh, James Hackes,
Yes,
and didn't get much playing time, wasn't a starter all the time. But this year he has been playing a lot more, and he's been playing really great when he has played. He's averaging about 28 minutes, about 18 points per game, during the last few games, compared to the beginning of the year or his first few years where he was off the bench, barely playing, so overall great player, so it's unfortunate if they don't use them correctly, but like I said, sometimes it could take a few years for them to finally start getting into their role.
absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great example. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
Another team that has really surprised me is the Phoenix Suns.
Hmm.
21 and 15 after everybody, it seemed like they treated everybody but Booker,
Yeah.
and they've been very good. They barely lost to the Rockets today,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe Durant was just kind of an issue.
Yeah, it could have been a Durant
Yes.
thing. Houston's doing pretty well with him, but Houston already had a stacked roster. Phoenix, like I
Yeah.
say, Devin Booker is the guy there. Dylan Brooks plays pretty well at times when he does need to play. And then, like I say, it's just all these other support players that are doing it for Phoenix. So, Mark Williams
Hmm.
there, but Devin Booker's the guy. That guy. I don't. I think he'll retire in Phoenix. I think they're going to try to build around him because, like I said, they got a lot of future if they could keep it up with just one superstar. Imagine with two great superstars that work together and play well together. It could be a scary team.
Absolutely. Yeah, if I were Booker, I'd stay there forever with the house that he has. I mean, dear
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Your own Foot
I'm good.
Locker.
Yeah, man. That's
uh,
outrageous. Hell of a house, hell of a car collection too.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. No, he's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He hit that game winner against OKC yesterday or the day before.
Hmm.
Game winner. Phenomenal player. He's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so but yeah, like I say, we were sort of pushed away a little bit from NBA with all this fouls, but we still watch it quite a bit. We still follow a lot of it, look it up, and it's something we'll probably get a lot closer into watching once NFL's done. But we'll go
Hmm.
into the NFL a little bit. We'll review some of the Week 18 games. And then talk about a little bit of these wild card schedule that's coming up. But week 18, one of the first games, and I put two games together because it sort of coincided and went together. It was Panthers Bucks and Atlanta versus the Saints. So Panthers Bucks needed a win to just stay alive on Saturday. They barely squeaked it out with a win, 16-14 over the Panthers. Like I say, sloppy game, I think, due to weather. It was pretty much a monsoon in Tampa during that game.
Hmm.
But like I say, they did what they had to do. Um, like I say, stat wise, I think Tampa's the overall better team. Carolina's just been able to pull out games, have the same record. But the game that sort of mattered for this was Atlanta versus the Saints, and Atlanta needed to lose for the Bucks to get in with that win. And if Atlanta would have won, I think it was a three-way tie in that division, and Carolina had the tiebreaker to all three teams. So Falcons won 19-17, got close, but overall eliminating the Bucks. So Panthers are in. Um, your takeaways from this game, Tim?
Um, Kind of lackluster. You know, I think Baker was definitely hurt a very large portion of the season this year. Not making excuses. Uh, he just did not look very good. The 203 passing yards, I think, was some of the most yards he's had in a while.
Yeah.
Bucky Evering being out a while.
Mhm.
Evans obviously was banged up quite a bit. Egbuka was never the same after a few weeks into the season. He didn't really
Mhm.
follow up on much. He only had one catch for 8 yards this game. I don't know. Did he get injured this game at all, or did he stay healthy? He just wasn't
No,
targeted.
he just hasn't been used the way I think he was at the beginning, and I think
Yeah.
it's because everybody was healthy, and I think just game plan, and I think it's also Baker Mayfield being injured sort of played a little bit of a factor.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But yeah, it's tough when you leave, I guess, your fate up to other teams.
Mm-hmm.
And just the visuals of Baker panicking in his kitchen of his house with his wife
Yeah.
taking photos of him. I'm sure he loved that. But hey, he's focused in, he was watching. I'm a Baker fan. I think that, he's always been fun to watch. I think his treatment in Cleveland was a bummer. I'm glad he's found a rejuvenation with Tampa. I think next year will be a better year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a big part of that is they need to fire their head coach. I think
Hmm.
it's time to move on. We haven't heard any noise about that yet. There's been plenty of firings, but there's been no reveal of head coaching change in Tampa that I've seen. Have you?
No, not Tampa as of right now. So if we haven't heard of it, I think by end of day tomorrow, I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's just kind of a head scratcher. I think a change is needed. Because
Hmm.
interdivision, Atlanta already, fired Fontenot and their head coach. So yeah,
Hmm.
that I kind of we saw that coming even with the hot finish that the Falcons had. But
Hmm.
this division has kind of been like this for a while. Ever since Drew Brees left with New Orleans, and Brady retired. It's just been kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
It's a competitive division in a sense
Hmm.
that, what was it? Three teams finished 8-9, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
Yeah.
then it's
So
who beat who and by how much.
yeah, no, it's crazy on how that division ended up, and I think it was a surprise. I do think Bucks need to make a change there because they have a solid squad. Mike Evans is only getting older. Chris Godwin's only getting older. It seems like Rashad White might be moving on from one of his posts recently. So this is a team that's just getting older, but has the potential and sort of not to waste Baker Mayfield's last few years. It's getting a coach that sort of does a little bit better for this team. Um, so we'll see
Mhm.
what happens with them. And then yeah, Atlanta, new coach, Saints, up and coming. Um, there's a lot going on there, but next game Saturday night, Seahawks versus 49ers. Big game, important game, tough game for your team. 49ers losing, giving Seahawks that number one seed in the NFC. Um, Overall take for me, like I say, bummer for the 49ers because like I say, it's home field throughout the whole playoffs they could have had. Um, but you play another week. You have the playoffs coming up. Solid game. Purdy, meh. My take, I may be going back to it. But still, like I say, it didn't hurt you guys. I think just the only bummer for you guys is you guys lost home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's a big issue is in Shanahan said it right where, this game just our best odds of making it to a Super Bowl was winning this game, and unfortunately, we didn't do it.
Hmm.
Offense really ceased to exist. The interception that Purdy threw is more on McCaffrey.
Hmm.
McCaffrey didn't really play very well. The whole team was just kind of meh. But no Trent Williams.
Hmm.
Juwan Jennings got kind of banged up early in the game. Kittle first game back from injury again. Um, the injuries is just the issue. On the defensive side, it's pretty remarkable that we held Seattle to only 13
Hmm.
points, but to name a few things is like the 3rd and 17 where Kenneth Walker was able
Hmm.
to convert that on a run is
Yeah.
despicable. And I think John Lynch's reaction to that is
Oh yeah, I saw
how all
that.
Niners fans felt. It just can't happen like that.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But again, we're missing so many elements to that.
Hmm.
Bethune, who just came back from injury, season-ending groin injury, I believe it is. So that's a bummer.
Hmm.
Um, I guess if we make it there, they announced today, kind of confirmed in a way, that Warner will be back for the conference championship. So I
Okay.
hope we make it
Nice.
there and see him. Um, yeah, it's we just not a great game.
Yeah.
I'm not even good. The Seattle defense is very good, though.
Oh
That
yeah.
is a very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the stats, I don't know if you've seen this. I think a lot of people have seen it. Every time there is a new pope, Seattle goes to the Super Bowl. Haven't won the Super Bowl all the time, but anytime there's a new pope assigned, that year Seattle is a Super Bowl team. So if
Whoa.
if the Vatican and the Pope is into the NFL, Seattle will be in the Super Bowl per that stat.
But what if the Pope is from Chicago? Is
Well,
probably a very big Bears.
he could be a very big Bear fan, but the Bears haven't made the Super Bowl every time there's been a new pope. So, just a fun
Yeah,
fact and a fun stat that I saw with
yeah.
Seattle. But yeah,
I like that.
great
Maybe that's our
defense.
issue.
It could be. It could be.
Oh
Next
man.
game I had on the docket to sort of discuss, and this was a quick one. Browns versus Bengals. Uh, Big thing, Myles Garrett getting the sack record. I did see
Yeah.
Strahan sort of talking about it. He Myles Garrett did in 17 games while he did it in 16. Still a big accomplishment,
Yeah.
and honestly, the way some of these teams have played Myles Garrett the last few weeks, they've been playing to avoid being the team that he broke the record on. Because, like I say, Pittsburgh, they lost a game last week. because they were playing to avoid letting Aaron Rodgers get sacked by Myles Garrett. Um, I think if they would have just played a normal game, I think he would have got it there in 16 games and maybe even gotten more. So, but no, kudos to
Sure.
Myles Garrett. Great feat. Unfortunate that it's on the Browns, and that's the most he'll probably ever do on the Browns until something drastically changes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, quick thing as well on that, obviously amazing Miles Garrett. He's worth, all the money that they pay
Hmm.
him. Um, it's just his choice to, be on a bad team while doing
Yeah.
what he does. Um, but Jamar Chase has done a phenomenal job at making a lot of NFL fans not like him this year. Like the spitting incident, and then
Hmm.
his comments about Miles Garrett after the game. He said, and this is his quote, "That's like me catching my 10th pass and the whole team running on the field and they got to call a flag on that play. Congrats to him and everything." Like, dude, shut up. Like, you are so annoying. Like, dude, both teams are playing for nothing.
Hmm.
Like, that game is stupid. Like,
Yeah.
it's not stupid, but it's like, it's meaningless. Like, you guys are there to collect a paycheck and
Yeah.
give a show to the fans and, go out
Yeah.
with a win, hopefully. But, like, dude, you are so petty, Jamar. Like, you're an incredible talent, but the stuff you're doing this season is so dumb. Like,
It's
that is
been bad.
just yeah, it's so lame, man. Like it's an incredible record.
Hmm.
It's 23 sacks is crazy. Um, and then you just to say like, oh, it's like me catching my 10th pass. Like,
Yeah.
okay, chill out. Like, big
Yeah.
difference, Jamar.
Yeah.
He's
Like I
just
say.
mad. Season didn't go his way.
Yeah, I think the season didn't go his way. I think if he was on par to break a receiving record, he would have done everything in his power to do that against the Browns. But like I say, he didn't have that he wasn't relying on that or had that on the line. So like I say, if it was, switched up, he would have been the same way, playing his heart out, trying to get that, yardage record, whatever it could have been. Week 18 for a game that
Yeah.
didn't mean anything to both teams. So yeah, that guy should just sort of not talk too much, focus on football, stop making those dumb choices. Because like I say, he is a superstar. He is someone that a lot of people look up to, but some of his actions this year have been questionable and, like I say, not as professional. So, but we'll see
Yep.
what next year brings. Next game sort of to bring up Raiders versus Chiefs. Raiders getting a win, Chiefs getting a loss, even a bigger stain on the
Nice.
Chiefs. But surprising Raiders winning and still able to keep that number one pick because the Giants won, Titans lost, Saints lost. So being able to keep the number one pick with a win, big thing. Like I said, Giants came out there and win. If Giants would have gone out there and lost, they would have had, I think, the number one pick. So um, kudos to the Raiders for winning and still not losing that number one pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, props to them. Yeah, Pete Carroll's already out.
Yep.
As we kind of thought, you get that first pick. We talked about this, Mendoza most likely coming in, becoming your new quarterback, and I think it's only right to kind of give him a fresh, head
Hmm.
coach to kind of work along with. So it makes a lot of sense. Um, but yeah, no, the Raiders they got a lot to do besides just quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can keep Crosby there based
Hmm.
off of, him storming out of
Hiring.
the building.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, no, yeah, he's going to be benched. Could win. Yep, game winner. That's
Yeah.
cool. Chiefs, uh yikes.
Yeah.
No. It's oh, you think that's Kelsey's last game?
Um, I do because I don't think Patrick Mahomes is coming back until pretty much the end of next year. Because of that injury, it's going to take a full year to heal. I don't think they should rush him also. And like I said, this is trying to be pro Chiefs, pro Patrick. He's a franchise changing QB. Not the GOAT yet, could be a GOAT the GOAT in the future, but like I say, he needs to come back healthy and for sure ready because if you bring him too early just because you're trying to beat the Chiefs or trying to get back to the Super Bowl and you do it too early and he gets hurt again, his career could be over and you guys are just done for. So
Hmm.
I don't know if Travis Kelce will come back and play without him after seeing how the last few games without him went. Because like I say, losing to the Raiders, that's a little bit of an embarrassment.
Oh yeah. No, it absolutely is. I think the whole season's an embarrassment. Because I mean they
Hmm.
were out of it like I and that's not about injury. Don't
Yeah.
take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But they were out while Mahomes was still healthy.
Hmm.
That's the way I mean it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that very well could be the curtain call because let's just say Mahomes is back late next season. He's an older 37 years old at that point. Um, yeah, he's an October birthday. He's going to turn 37 in October.
Hmm.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't play next season, then it's like you're asking him to wait until he's 38. I don't think he wants to do that.
Hmm.
I don't think it's going to happen. He's had a hell of a career. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Hmm.
Um, he has obviously a huge life ahead of him with Taylor Swift. Going to
Hmm.
get married this offseason. Yeah, probably right off into the sunset. Call it a career. He's built a great career outside of football as well with the
Hmm.
podcast. So yeah, plenty for Travis to stay busy with, and is well on his way there. But yeah, Kansas City, I'm curious to see, how much longer Andy Reid rides it out with them. That's another thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's about it. Vegas,
Yeah.
I don't know. No, do something better. I don't
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
know.
The next slate of games I'll put together: Dolphins versus Pats, Broncos versus Chargers. These two games, Pats needed a win, and the Broncos lost to claim the number one seed in the AFC and get home field advantage through the playoffs. Pats did what they had to do. They beat the Dolphins, um, pretty easily. They did well, and then Broncos came up with the win. But I will say Broncos had an easier game because they played the pretty much the backups of the Chargers. Chargers were resting their players, which I don't blame them because, like I say, they were in the playoffs already. They had not much to fight for other than seeding. But no matter what, they were going to travel anywhere, and I think they feel capable of playing any of these teams and winning with a healthy team. So, um, kudos to the Broncos. Uh, I think one of the stats I heard is the last 8 times they've been the number one seed, six of them they went to the Super Bowl, so a good sign for them here in
Hmm.
the AFC. Uh, Pats though, Drake May MVP.
It's in between him and Stafford, right?
I think so.
Or is it AFC, NFC separated?
I
Um,
I think it's all
isn't
together.
there's only one, yeah,
Yeah.
because Stafford threw what another four touchdowns this week, right? So
Hmm.
he's up to like 46, forty
Hmm.
four. But it's not all about that. A big part of me thinks that they're going to give it to Stafford.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think Drake May is the MVP.
Hmm.
Just the difference of record between last year and this year
Hmm.
it's night and day. Like
Yeah.
what he's done at his age is
Hmm.
downright incredible. He made me look really good as well. Uh, no, but Drake May is the MVP in my eyes, but I
Uh-huh.
think they'll give it to Stafford.
Yeah, yeah. I think Drake May should win it. I think it could go to Stafford. May just did it a lot, did it with not as great of a team and supporting staff as Stafford has had, and like I say, experience wise as well. Very still young kid compared to Stafford, who's played this game for so long and knows how to play it and play in those clutch situations. So um, it's going to be a coin toss. We'll see how the voters vote this, but great game. It'll be good. Um, last game, I would prefer not to talk about it, but we will talk about it. Steelers versus
Yeah.
Ravens. Big, big game Sunday night. I hated the game. I hated the way it ended. Um, Ravens losing by a field goal, missed kick in the final seconds of the fourth. Um, my takeaway from our season, piss poor season for us. We should have done a lot better. This last game, the way we were playing just to stay alive in the playoffs, it shouldn't have been that way. We should have been resting starters and already just claimed the division and been in the playoffs. But the team as a whole, we played just badly. I don't know if it's coaching, if it's players, injury wise. Lamar had a probably one of his worst seasons. Um, I see a lot of comments. So I don't know if you've seen him, Tim. A lot of people saying don't blame Lamar for this loss. I see that everywhere. Like it's not Lamar's fault. I want to disagree with that a little bit, and the reason is first quarter Lamar did absolutely nothing for this team. We could have been up by so much more if Lamar played the way he played that fourth quarter. Yes, fourth quarter he kept us in it. He made big throws even in the third quarter, and that's why we stayed in the game. But if he would have done that the first two quarters, we wouldn't be stressing this way. Yes, we could put some blame on Tyler Loop for missing the field goal, but if you look at his record, above like 50 yards, that kid hasn't been as consistent, hasn't been automatic like, Aubrey or even Pinero. He hasn't been as automatic as those type of kickers. So it's like you're putting a lot on this a first year rookie in a big game in a big rivalry week, and when the Priests blessed that side of the field goal, we should have known it wasn't good for us. So yeah, there's some blame for Loop, but honestly, we lost this game way before even that field goal. It shouldn't have gone that way. Defense didn't play well. How do we let this team stay in it without DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers at the helm? I don't know. Losing Kyle Hamilton was a big blow for us. Once he went out with that concussion, that hurt us. We could see our defense wasn't playing as great as we were that first half. So a lot of things went wrong. Bad season for us. Hated to see it this way, but like I say, we shouldn't have been banking on this game just to make the playoffs. That shows that our team, we just didn't have a great year. And like I say, as a fan, I hate to admit it, but it is honest truth. We had a shitty year this year.
Yeah, no, very well said. I have the kind of the same sentiment that, you know, yeah, the not blaming Lamar, I feel like is pretty unfair because you take away those two, the 50-yard touchdown pass and the 64-yard touchdown pass to Zay Flowers. Lamar Jackson had a complete piss poor
Yeah.
performance. You take both of those away, the dude threw for 124 yards and one touchdown in a pick. Like it was not a good performance. And I think right before both of those long touchdowns occurred, I think I texted you saying like something's up with Lamar still. Like this dude does not look right. It's just something is wrong. Like he's not seeing the field very well. And then that they just need to rely on Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry can win this game for him. Um, so yeah, no, just from a team standpoint, and then obviously the slip is unfortunate with, the guy guarding Calvin Austin
Mhm.
led him to be wide open for that touchdown. It was just kind of a gimme touchdown. Kyle Hamilton going down was absolutely brutal. There's a lot
Mhm.
more elements. I
Yeah.
heard Tyler Loop and his wife are getting really nasty messages,
Yeah.
and it's incredibly uncalled for because it's like, yeah, you missed the field goal, but that game had no reason to be in that position.
Yeah.
Um, you beat me to it. I was going to ask about the holy water thing. See if that made a difference. I think it did. I think it did.
I think it did. I think every team's gonna take a priest now and bless both sides, or at least you have to bless one side of the field goal, and one side of the field, and
Yeah.
hope try to win that coin toss to have them kick there in the fourth so they could miss that game winning field goal because it could have been that. There's a lot of other factors, but with that happening, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, do you think you can get a traveling priest with you to start bless
Probably,
the field, like just make him part of the roster?
probably. Pay a salary.
Priest. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, just get some
yeah.
holy water in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's the team. Like I say, I think a lot of fans are gonna hate me saying this as a fan, but we had a shitty year. Like we have to admit we had a bad year. It we could say we could have the cowboy motto. This is our year. I think this was our year to probably make a difference and make that Super Bowl run the way our team was built. And like I say,
Yep.
Josh Allen right now is thanking the gods and the football gods and football heaven for no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes in these playoffs because his route, if he plays the way he has played in the playoffs and always getting stuck with Lamar and Patrick Mahomes and losing to them, he has an easy route to the Super Bowl. And like I say, it would be a
Mhm.
big win for the Bills final season in their stadium to get a W. Um, but yeah, but overall, Ravens, hate to see it, but if we would have done what we had to, if we would have done our job earlier in the season, we wouldn't have had to be worrying about this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think all that considered, uh, Josh Allen is absolutely has the most pressure on him out of anybody, I think, in
Hmm.
this playoffs
Yeah.
altogether. This is his time, and then most of all, he gets to come back to, he grew up a Niners fan here in
Hmm.
California, so
Yeah.
Central Valley, but closer to the Niners area, and
Yeah.
he gets to play up north. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens. I hope he makes it. I am a big Josh Allen fan. If my Niners can't be there and we have to go against him, um, I'll be rooting for him. I think
Yeah.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, we'll
good
go
stuff.
into wild card weekend. It's this weekend, first week. Teams on by Seattle and the Broncos, so we won't see them playing. But first game Saturday, Rams versus Panthers. Panthers already beat the Rams once this year. I don't think it'll happen again in SoFi again. Um, Rams are on a roll. Panthers, the way they've been playing, they could come up with a win, but I just don't see it happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Rams win that one. They're playing hot. They have a better team. Panthers are too fluky. They're on
Yeah.
the right route, but they're too
Yeah.
fluky.
Yeah. I think in 2 years they could be contending for the Super Bowl, depending on how they draft and how they sign free agents and who they keep.
Absolutely.
That run game needs to improve a little bit more, I think, and then just get some more help for McMillan in the wide receiver spot in that defense. So quite a bit,
Correct.
but yeah, Rams should take that one pretty easily. Next game, I think one of the two big games this week, Packers versus Bears, rivalry game uh, in Chicago. Bears have been playing nonstop. Packers have been struggling a little bit the last few weeks. Um, it If I had to pick a team, I want to go the Bears. My heart and mind, I think, goes with the Bears. Jordan Love, I think, might crack a little bit under the pressure, but he could also show up. But I think the Packers defense is probably hurt without Michael Parsons, so I think that's why the Bears. I give them the slight edge, but it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I've been really unimpressed with the Packers this season. I'm going Bears here for sure. I think the Bears win this one.
Yeah. Next one, we go into Sunday, 10 a.m. game, so the morning game. Bills versus Jaguars. I think the Bills win it, but man, the way these Jaguars are playing, Trevor Lawrence is playing, it's going to be a good game. I don't think you can count any of them out. You can't count them out.
Yeah. No, I guess this is my time to take away do a full apology to T Law because if anybody's saw the clip this past week, he was given grills to match the meme that's going around. Full apology, swag galore, good vibes. He just needed a better coach in
Yeah.
GM, not named Trent. Balky. But yeah, props to him. I do think Bills win this though.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the Bills do well. I think they take it pretty easy. They're in Jacksonville, so we'll see what the weather does. But like I say, the run game for the
Mhm.
Bills is unstoppable. So if weather's bad, Bills have even a bigger advantage. So um, Bills
Absolutely.
Jags. I think the Bills got it. Next game Sunday, the 1:30 game. I think this is the second big game of the week. 49ers versus the Eagles. Going to Philadelphia,
Hmm.
going back. Um, Big game. Eagles defense has been unstoppable. Offense is question mark, and vice versa. 49ers offense has been unstoppable other than the last game. Defense has been the question mark. Um I I think I'm gonna go 49ers. I think they just have it. I think Purdy's gonna show what he could have done that year that they lost to the Eagles because they got all the quarterbacks got injured, and sort of bring it back to Philadelphia and sort of be like, you guys just had that one lucky year of winning without with but playing pretty much the water boy at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. That's the only way that the Eagles were able to beat us that year. Yeah, no, we love going and beating the brakes off the Eagles though with a fully healthy squad. Well, we're not fully healthy, but with a squad in Philly at Lincoln. I'm of course going Niners. I think as I hopefully we get Trent back and he's healthy. That's going to be a big difference. And then hopefully Pearsall is
Hmm.
healthy as well and can play. Both of them, you got to do your best to be in this game. It's
Hmm.
obviously incredibly important. And give Kyle Shanahan a lead early because he is, I listened today on the radio, 1-31 when we're down in games in the fourth.
Oh man.
So in his whole career. Incredible that he's been able to coach in that many type games.
Yeah.
And still be coaching, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this Niners team goes back to playing the way they did against the Colts and the Bears, uh, I think we're in great hands.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are good in good hands. So we'll see what 49ers team comes out, their injuries, hopefully the players you need stay healthy and get through the game. But it'll be a good game. I think one of the big games, the second big game of the week. After that Sunday
Yep.
night game, Chargers versus Patriots. This will be a good game as well. The return to Harbaugh coaching in the NFL, but going against the Patriots, who you could say are backed for another round of dynasty. Uh, I got to stick with family, and I do think Patriots are going to win this. I think the way Drake May has played, they'll win it. I think Chargers could pull up and not upset though because of coaching and having the players if they say if they're healthy enough to make it a competitive game. But I think Patriots pull this one off.
Yeah, no, agreed. Definitely going Pats here. I think the Pats win by double digits. And this game would be a lot closer if health wasn't as much of a factor with the Chargers. That's the biggest thing with them
Mhm.
is just the decimation to their O line was
Mhm.
horrible. And it's a bummer for Charger fans. But yeah, I'm gonna go Pats for this one for sure. But Chargers, I hope next year they stay healthy because that's a fun team.
Yeah, that's a fun team. So and one of the things with the Chargers I saw. I think they're top three in cap space this year. So the way they play this year with the
Oh,
cap space they have, I think they're going to make some big signings because teams are seeing the Harbaugh, Herbert, that team's for reals, and there's going to be some people wanting
oh
to
yeah,
go there because they'll be Super Bowl contenders, especially with the Chiefs pretty much out already next year.
for sure. Yeah, no, maybe go get a wide receiver.
Yeah,
Another one. Yeah.
another
Even though
one.
Quentin Johnston's been better.
Yeah. Um, and then the last game of the week, Monday night, Texans versus Steelers. I wish it was the Ravens. It would have been a more competitive game, but I think it'll still
Yeah.
be a pretty good game. But I think Texans win this. I think their defense is just unstoppable. offense for the Texans could be better, but I think that CJ Stroud they could shred this defense pretty easily, and I don't know if Aaron Rodgers can handle what the Texans are going to throw at him.
Yeah, quite frankly, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have about a half second to get rid of the ball because he's not going to want to get sacked by like Will Anderson coming
Mhm.
straight at him. Yeah, the Texans, I think, win this pretty handily. I think this is a big game. Um, I mean, the only way I see it is Kenneth Gainwell goes off for a crazy game with dump
Yeah,
off passes.
yeah, which could happen.
It could happen. Yeah, it could happen. In yeah, but I think Rodgers gets hit hard at least a couple times in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's wild card weekend. Exciting weekend. It's the playoffs. It's always good football. Good to watch competitive games. And that's NFL. And it's already late. But we'll go into sort of Critics' Choice. I'll do a quick review of that. We had the Critics' Choice this past weekend. Sunday was watching that along with the Raven game. A lot of great wins. Let me pull it up. Some of the big ones that I saw. Best talk show, you know, I don't know if this was more of a, I'm not gonna say political thing, but just because something happened. Jimmy Kimmel Live won Best Talk Show. It's been very hard for him ever to win an award. It's usually been the Daily Show that's won because Daily Show, if you've seen it, great talk show, great
Yep,
comedy as well. But Jimmy Kimmel won it, and I don't know if it's because of all the drama he went through with President Trump, all that stuff. But kudos to him
yep.
because he's been around for a while and he's had great content. It's been good. Um,
As long as Guillermo gets a small part of that as well. Big fan of Guillermo.
yeah, yeah, no, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Um, Next, it's like the next category that sort of stood out a bit, best actor in just limited series and movie or in a series or movie made for television. And Adolescence also pretty much sweeping a lot of this category, winning. Like I said, a show
Oh
on
yeah.
Netflix, really good show. I really enjoyed how it was. Each episode was just one continuous take, which, like I say, it must have been frustrating if anybody ever messed up because you had to start from the beginning because from what they said, nothing was ever clipped together. It was all just shot together. But them winning, and then also I think the show winning overall best limited series. So pretty much a sweep for them. The only category they lost was best actress in limited series or movie made for television, and they lost to Sarah Snook for All Her Fault. So one of the shows on Peacock, which
Okay.
was a decent show. I was okay with it. Um, but yeah,
Best
that was
comedy series, The Studio.
the studio.
Hey, you're a big advocate for this one, John.
Studio, yeah. I was happy to see that they won. A lot of it, best comedy. Um, Seth Rogen won for best actor, best supporting actor. Ike Barhanowitz, his co-person in the show won. Um, so
Mhm.
overall, funny show. Like I said, if you guys haven't watched it on Apple TV, go watch it. You'll enjoy it. Hilarious and sort of that funny and real look into Hollywood. Because like I say, he did share a little bit about it that he did talk to like producers and stuff. I think I talked about it like when it came to the award season, like episode he had it where he talked to real producers and like network studio producers saying all they wanted whenever a movie that they greenlit is they wanted thanks for it, and sometimes they wouldn't get it and it would hurt them so much, so sort of how he went
Mhm.
about trying to get thanks for a movie he greenlit, it was just hilarious. So, sort of the reality of it. So cool to see, yeah, I don't know if we would have ever imagined Seth Rogen winning award season type stuff. So kudos to him.
Yep.
I'm excited if it comes out with another season for this. So it'll be good. Um,
Mhm.
Next, the drama series that won, The Pit. I don't know if you ever saw The Pit on HBO. Won quite a few awards.
Did not.
The hospital show on HBO, really good. Noah Weil winning it for best actor, also the best drama series. They're coming out with season two coming out. I think it's if it's not this week, if it's not this Thursday, it's next Thursday, but coming out with season two
Okay.
this year. So that'll be good. Um, Best song, Golden, K-pop Demon Hunter won. I
We saw this coming.
I think we a lot of people saw it coming. I think
Uh-huh.
one that was really a favorite as well was "I Lied to You," the one from Sinners, which was a good song. But I think
Hmm.
the way Golden has exploded, I think it'll be sweeping award season. Um, Best
Best sound
comment,
F1.
yeah, that
Just
was a good
everybody
one.
likes to hear a race car go by.
Yeah. Oh, overall, it's a great movie. If you haven't watched F1, like I say, if you like racing and just sort of a movie, somewhat
Hmm.
unrealistic of how like the whole scenario goes, but a great F1 racing movie. I think one of the better racing movies I've seen. Um,
Oh, nice.
Best comedy. This one surprised me a bit. The Naked Gun one.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I've heard a lot of great things about it though. I started watching it, I just haven't had a chance to finish it. I thought Friendship was gonna win. I heard a lot about that one.
Okay.
Um, so
But
and
yeah,
then
I mean, does it live up to like the Wesley Nielsen vibes?
like people say it does. People say it brings back
Oh,
that like old
that's
school
awesome.
comedy from The Naked Gun. So they said
Good.
Pam Anderson was really good too in it. So
Oh, nice.
overall, like I say,
Okay.
a great movie to win. But I thought Friendship would have won that one. Just from what I heard a lot beforehand. Um,
Okay.
Animated feature, K-pop Demon Hunters, another one. Not surprised. Uh,
Hmm.
Zootopia 2, I think, was the number two one I would have predicted if it wasn't K-pop.
Hmm.
Avatar, Fire and Ash, won visual effects, so kudos to them. Um, Hair and makeup. This is where
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. I thought Weapons could have won it with Aunt Gladys, all of that stuff, but Frankenstein
Mm,
also. If
yep.
you saw Frankenstein, amazing hair and makeup. You can't take it away from them. Costume design, same thing. Frankenstein, some of the designs of all those costumes, just what they were, amazing. So kudos to them. Sinners, casting ensemble. I think yeah, one of the better put casts. I think one battle after another would have been number two, or what could have won it
Okay.
as well because they had a lot of great stars. Director, one battle after another, sort of took that as well. But that one, I I would have I would have preferred either Ryan Coogler or Chloe Zhao to win. I think those two movies were a little bit better than One Battle After Another. But Thomas Anderson, like
Hmm.
I said, not a bad movie. But I liked Sinners
Hmm.
and Hamnet a lot more. So, but that's my take. Supporting actress, I mentioned it before. Amy Madigan won for Weapons and Gladys, so kudos to her. Who would have thought she would have won a
Very
Critics'
deserved.
Choice? Very deserved. Great role. And great performance. Supporting actor. This one I think surprised me. Jacob Elordi won for Frankenstein. A lot of people I
Hmm.
think prior had Benicio or Sean Penn winning it, and even Stellan
Hmm.
Skarsgård. So Jacob Elordi winning it. Great to
Was he
see.
pissed off to be there?
No, he seemed
Because
happy.
is it ruining his life? No. Oh,
No,
okay, good.
no. I
Just
think it was a little.
paparazzi.
I think he was a little mad that Chelsea handler called him 6'6" when I think he's 6'7". He was making sure she made sure he got his
Big
right height.
difference.
6'7".
Yeah, 6'7".
uh,
Yeah.
uh, the next one, best actress in a movie. Jessie Buckley won for Hamnet. I think well deserved. If you've seen that movie,
Nice.
this is one actress sort of that hasn't been in the limelight, but might get a lot more attention after this award season win.
Oh, cool.
But like I say, Emma Stone, Begonia. I know a lot of people hated it. I truly enjoyed
Hmm.
it. I thought it was an amazing movie. I thought she did great. I thought she could have, if she would have won it, I would have been okay with it as well. But she did great.
Hmm.
This next one, and I think this is the last one. Best actor went to Timothy Chalamet. So
Hmm.
Timmy won Best Actor.
Little
Kudos to
Timmy.
him. I don't know if it's all the promoting that went around that sort of won it for him. I truly thought it
Hmm.
was going to be Michael B. Jordan or Leo, but Timmy winning,
Yep.
big surprise. I don't know if you saw his speech a little bit, if you got a chance to watch any of it, but
I saw a quote that he thanked Kylie Jenner.
that
Right?
was the most memorable part when we were watching it. Vera was like, "Really?" He mentioned Kylie Jenner because he's like my partner of 3 years, everything we've done with our foundation, and then it just shows Kylie. I wouldn't have put that in my bingo card that Kylie would have been thanked at one of these awards this year. So,
Sure. Yeah.
so
Hey,
kudos to that. But those were some of
did you
the
see
big
Marty
ones.
Supreme?
I haven't watched it. I've heard a lot. I've heard
Okay.
good and bad. I want to watch it. I'm
Ah,
curious about it. I'll probably try to watch it before this weekend, hopefully, to just sort of
yep.
be able to give an input. But
Sure.
the big award season coming this weekend is Golden Globes, and there's a lot of other categories that are coming out with this. One of the ones there's a few I'll go over just because we're getting short on time. One of the new
Mhm.
things that they're going to have for this best podcast. They're having the best podcast category.
Hey, yo.
So they have
Nice.
armchair expert with Dax Shepard. They have Call Her Daddy. Good Hang
Okay.
with Amy Poehler. Smart List. That's the one with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Will Arnett. Then the
Okay.
Mel Robbins podcast and Up First from NPR. So,
Wow. Just they don't like sports for this
so
category.
rumor has it, I think I read somewhere. Part of my take would have been up here, but they had to submit something and they just didn't want to submit it. They didn't want to go through all the hassle to submit something because I don't think they cared about being nominated for this. But
Wow.
that's something I read somewhere that they were nominated, but I think that because they didn't submit something in a time by a certain time, they just weren't going to be part of it. So, I think if
Honestly, that sounds so correct
yeah,
for the
I
vibes of their show.
I don't
That's
know.
PMT, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if it is actual truth to it or what, but that's something I did hear. If it is true, well,
Okay.
like I say, kudos to them because, like I say, they're not really there for winning awards; they're there for their content. But it would have been cool
Yeah.
to see because I think if they would have been on here, I think they would have, based off all this, what they've done for the podcasting, I think they should have won it.
Yeah.
I think based off of this, part of my take should have won it because they've been doing it for so many years and they aren't these big names that started it. Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard, I've listened to a few of them. Great content. I've enjoyed the interviews he had, but like I say, the reason he gets
Hmm.
great people on it, compared to other podcasters, it's Dak Shepard. He's part of Hollywood, so he has all these friends, all these connections.
Yep.
Same with Good Hang with Amy Poehler. Her content's been hilarious. I've watched a lot of her clips and watched a few of her full episodes and listened to them in the car.
Hmm.
She's great, but like I say, a lot of people listen to it because it's first Amy Poehler and then she knows everybody in the industry. She gets everybody in there. The Andy
Yep.
Samberg one, hilarious, the one with Andy Samberg. So, like I said, that's another good one. Same thing with Smart List, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Will Arnett, all three big stars. So
Yep.
it's hard to compete with those, but like I say, one like Alex Cooper, Call Her Daddy, that one came from Barstool Sports. Got
Right.
their big break on Barstool and some of the content she has. Really great. I think, hits more for a certain demographic compared to these other ones that are, more wide range. But I think what she's done for
Sure.
podcasting has been big. And then Mel Robbins, it's one I have on my like must listen, but I haven't had a chance to listen yet.
Okay. Is
So
that I guess being on NPR, is it more like serious topics
Mel Robbins,
or newsworthy or
I think she does a little bit more like serious. Um,
okay?
let me see.
Because people are really into like crime scene
Yeah.
mystery type podcasts, and if that fits in
Yeah.
that category, I can see why she would be so popular.
Yeah.
Um,
So let me see. Mel Robbins podcast. So she has like one nine habits that will change your life. So the best experts. So life changing advice. Having people come on to talk with her, talking about life things. So I think that's what sort
oh, I've
of
seen her.
got to me. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So research, this is based off Amazon Music description. You change your life, and Mel Robbins will show you how. The Mel Robbins podcast is the number one podcast on the globe for a reason. Mel's simple, research-backed advice has challenged millions of people's lives in every episode, and she gives you all her hard-fought secrets, science-backed tools, and deeply personal stories, so you can change yours too. So sort of like that lifestyle changing.
Cool.
So.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, but I've heard a lot about hers. Up First NPR. I'm not too sure what that one is. Let's see. Up First NPR. Um, it's NPR. NPR has always been a popular one. So up
Big
NPR's
stories of
up.
the day.
Yeah, NPR's Up First is the news you need to start your day. The three biggest stories of the day
Mm,
with reporting and analysis from NPR News in 10 minutes. So available weekday 6:30 a.m. Eastern with hosts Leslie Fadal, Steve Inskeep, Michael Martin, and A. Martinez. So 10-minute. So they talk about everything. So I think it's more news wise, like what's going on
yep.
up for the day. So that's always a good category. Popular one too.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's probably
Yeah.
factual news.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like for this one, if I had to choose, I'd want Call Her Daddy to win just because I think it sort of breaks out of that mold of the celebrities. But I think it's either going to be Amy Poehler with Good Hang or Mel Robbins is my thoughts.
yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think the Caller Daddy, if Alex Cooper is able to get the win with that, I think that'd be pretty cool because then it's like, people who like this show started what back in 2018,
Mhm.
um, and just has been consistent throughout the years, kind of just like Pardon My Take, but just different category.
Yeah,
You get people who weren't relevant before starting a podcast, becoming famous and making it a really big deal. So,
yeah,
very cool. Yeah, that would be a cool one to win.
yeah.
I like
That'll be
that
a
they're
good
doing
one.
this.
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, like I said, Golden Globes is TVs and movies. So a lot of what we discuss right now with Critics' Choice, it's the same. Best performance by a male in supporting role in television. So this one sort of puts television all together, not really always comedy and drama. So like the person that won comedy in the Critics' Choice, Tramel Tillman, is going against Owen Cooper, who won Best Supporting in Drama in the Critics' Choice. So now
Hmm.
they're going against each other. So it's going to be between them two most likely for who wins. Best performance by a male actor in supporting role in television. Um, Another big one. Like I say, White Lotus is nominated for a few. Studio will be here as well. Um, Seth Rogen's on. I think Seth Rogen will also sweep this award season. This is the last award show for TV too, so you'll sort of see most of the TV done here, and then movies up later. Um,
Okay.
like I say, a lot of the same nominees. Like I said, Jenna Ortega is nominated here for musical or comedy with Wednesday. Selena Gomez is on here. Um, what are some big
Hmm.
ones? Like I say, there's a lot. Um, I think I'm just sort of curious to see what happens with podcasts differently, television series, drama. Like I say, it might be similar. Another one that they did, I talked to you about this last time, cinematic and box office achievement. So we have Avatar, Fire and Ash, F1, K-pop Demon Hunters, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Zootopia 2, Wicked for Good, Weapon, and Sinners. Like I say, this is box office cinematic achievement. Like I say, it's crazy because I feel like K-pop could sort of steal it with how many billions of views it's had on Netflix, but it could be
Yeah.
Sinners, because Sinners did have a big showing in theaters when it released back in what, January, February of last year.
Right. Yeah. Maybe do you think that maybe played a factor in Timothy Chalamet winning with the
Yeah,
relevant with the recency bias?
I think so. That's what I told Vera because Vera's like Timothy Chalamet and like why not Sinners? It's like Sinners happened so long ago that you really have to go back and remember that it was part of this award season because it sort of happened right after the end of the Oscars. So like I said, it's sort of what happens with so many movies. Some of these movies that come out so early in the year compared to, I think we've had a handful of movies come out the last 3 months that are part of award season that are just so much fresher in our mind. So it could be a
Yep.
factor. I hope it isn't a factor because, like I said, I hope they look at everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Okay. Yeah.
This one, Best Original Song, like I said, I think K-pop's gonna take it again.
Yep.
Uh, Scores there, screenplay, like I said, director. All the rest of these categories are pretty much the same that we saw the Critics' Choice. Um, and like I say, it'll be a hard one to
Hmm.
sort of see who wins. But like I say, that this one, male actor, there's one in a motion picture for musical or comedy, and then there's one in a drama, I think. So like musical comedy, it's Ethan Hawke, George Clooney, Plemons, Lee Byung-hun, Leo, and then Timothy Chalamet. You know, it's a tough category. Based off critics, it looks like Timothy, but I think Leo will be in the running. And honestly, Jesse Plemons for Begonia, I think should be considered as well. Um,
Okay.
And then best performance by a male actor in a drama. That's Dwayne Johnson, Jeremy Allen White, Joel Edgerton, Michael B. Jordan, Oscar Isaac, and Wagner Moura. I think this is where Michael B. Jordan wins it. I think he'll get his Golden Globe here. Um, I think out of all of these guys, he's outperformed them in his role.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm excited, looking forward to this. They don't do a game for the Golden Globes like they do for the Oscars, so we'll sort of do one for the Oscars in February again, sort of see how we do.
Okay.
We'll set that up,
I
but
like that.
like I say,
Get dominant. I will lose by a mile, but yeah,
you never know. You never
didn't sweep
know.
for you last year.
Like I say,
Yeah. It was fun
if
though.
you, it's fine. Like I say, Golden Globes sort of predict a little bit of what the Oscars are going to do, but there's always a few changes. But yeah,
Sure.
Golden Globe Sunday, January 11th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Like I say, I'll be watching along with having football on. A lot of good stuff. So busy weekend for me.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Award
Yeah,
season's good.
yeah, always fun. A lot of good stuff. But yeah, that's today's
Yeah.
episode. Thanks everybody listening today. As always, your support really helps us grow, helps us continue, and as always, just do us a solid by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that follow button, just so you guys could get all the latest info when we drop new clips, new videos. And as always, jump into the comments with your banter. We enjoy the comment, the feedback. We really, like to interact with all of you guys, and gals, if you guys are gals too. And if there's ever a topic, team, or just hot take you want us to tackle, let us know. We're willing to tackle many different categories, even if we're not the full experts. We like to give our opinions and our thoughts because that's what Banter on the Takes is about. It's just us bantering of what we think is right and wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, John. Yeah. Love the bantering back and forth in the comment section as always. It's always fun, good, positive, bad, negative stuff. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's
Yep.
banter. It's what we do. Um, Always a fun time, doing this podcast with you, John, and
Yep.
much appreciated to all who watch and listen. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much, and Happy New Year again, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everybody. Have a great week. And until next time, this is Banter on the Rocks.
Peace.